So I'm going to count down the stream. Let's say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Eric, how's it going, man?
Oh, God damn it.
I was waiting. I gave you a window there.
I know. I was just like letting everything kind of get set up, man. But yeah. So, hey, Luke, how are you?
I'm good.
How's that?
I'm good.
Totally blew it.
How you doing?
Man, good, man. It's been and like we talked about it just a little bit before going online right here, but
You're busy.
yeah, but it's been a boring week. No,
It
I don't want to
has
say
been-
boring, but I mean
It's
you
been
know,
an uneventful week between shows.
yeah,
you know.
or between our shows. We had Yosuke on last week.
Yeah.
But I guess first, let's get it out of the way because we're going to forget.
Yes.
Who do we need to thank? Because this is 2 episodes of forgetting to thank somebody.
We need to thank Evan Archer for the box of snacks that he donated to the show. He's actually a friend of mine whom I met many years ago, and I'm not sure where he lives now, but he's been tuning into the podcast, and he sent us a big box of snacks, and from I guess it's a place that he might work for, and the box was completely consumed.
Yeah, there is. It was fucking fudge, man. It was all like
Yeah, it
yummy.
was fudge
yummy
and
snacks.
sweets and like
Yeah,
chocolate covered like pretzel with caramel and
dude, there's like cookie something brownie, and it was just high end.
oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
nice. It,
Yeah,
it,
it was
it
very
definitely
good.
had that like like you would like find these at like like special snack places and like
Yeah.
I would think the Midwest or something like that.
So there were so many. There was like, what is that? The red cake. What's that thing
oh,
called?
red velvet.
Red velvet cake. There was that kind of stuff
Yeah,
mixed in brownie.
Yeah.
It was all good. And then I'm like, there wasn't one plain brownie. It was interesting, right? So, yeah,
There's a lot of fudge too.
yeah.
so,
I don't know if it was fudge or all brownies. I'm not even sure.
it was
You
like
know,
dense.
It was it was like in between, sort of. It was like super rich brownies or kind of cakey fudge. It was one of the two. But that's what I thought most of it was. But
yes,
Evan, is that his name?
Evan
Evan?
Archer.
Correct me if I'm wrong, man, because I don't know. Like, this is like the minutia of brownies.
Yeah.
If you were here, you'd be on the show, and we'd ask you questions about brownies the whole time.
Yep. And we could ask a lot of weird foodie questions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's
But-
actually a YouTuber too. So
oh, awesome.
you
Go
know.
catch Evan Archer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does he make candy on the YouTube channel? Or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I-
Well, another person we could thank, George Coe, for the coffee.
George
Cha-ching.
Ching. It's a Japanese
A
coffee.
Bonton brand. Bonton. I guess it's a shop. There's one in Harajuku at least. But yeah, it's a very Japanese style coffee.
Yeah,
Smooth.
very
and
smooth.
Smooth. And it's the nighttime blend.
It is. This is like something nice and easy to drink at the end of
I
the night.
think the packaging just said regular coffee. Regular coffee. Like in Japanese, right?
Right.
Seriously, it was just like, it doesn't say anything more than regular coffee. And I was like, perfect. That's regular coffee.
You know, that actually reminds me of a video I just saw this morning. It's I don't know whether or not you like watch the Vox channel or anything like that, VOX.
I mean, man, I watch whatever YouTube tells me to watch on, like when youtube.com,
Yep.
I sign in, like my thing's already signed in, my account,
Yeah.
and whatever it tells me what to watch, and I watch some of it.
They have a video.
So
they
there are Vox ones. I do see that. So yeah.
Well, they just released a video about like how the stereotype of Asian people switching their L's and their R's.
Oh,
I
see.
It was very interesting. I do recommend. Because like they did like mammograms of the tongue, where like to see how like the tongue placement is in relation to the mouth when pronouncing like certain like, is it a consonant? I think it's a consonant, right? That.
Yeah, sure. An L and an R are consonants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was I keep forgetting like what is what.
Well, a vowel is A-E-I-O-U,
You.
sometimes Y, I suppose.
Vowels and
yeah.
consonants.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and basically how like this like like replacing everything with an L and an R, or every R with an L is just lazy, because certain ethnicities like Koreans, and certain Japanese, and certain Chinese,
but not
languages.
all Japanese, or not. I mean,
Well, no, I mean, like, I think it depends on, like, where it's placed within the word,
right.
kind of thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Like, and then they went on to, like, kind of talk about, like, like there's, they have an L and then there's a dark L. And I think the example that they used was, like, the word level. Like, there's the le and
Yeah.
level, and then the
Oh. All right.
and
Right.
at
Right.
the end. And, like, this is kind of like, I guess it's kind of like, special to the English language,
Right,
and
right.
it's not something that is common.
So how does an Asian person pronounce level?
Revel.
Yeah. Oh.
I had to get there.
Rever.
River.
Rever. Rever.
But
Do you have the rever? I need a rever.
I think they would go revel or
Rever.
but like
I don't know that R, the second R or L. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You
I
got
think
me doing it now.
yeah, I think I think they would like end it with an like a. Oh, I don't know. I don't. I mean, I watched it when I woke up, so I don't remember any of the details.
So do you watch Is it pizza or not, or that video? I don't know. It's like a food one, but it's about a guy with a pizza shop in New York. So he's a hardcore pizza dude.
Oh yeah.
And like he's a traditionalist, and there's a guy that's young, kind of like, and he's into all kinds of weird.
Wait, there's
pizzas.
a pizza or not pizza show.
Yeah, well, like, is it pizza? I think it's what it's called.
Oh, I
so the
haven't
guy
seen
goes
this
to like
one.
he goes and checks out weird pizzas like the ramen pizza. Then he brings it to the traditionalist, and then the other guy decides. One's trying to convince the other guy that this is pizza, and the other guy's like saying no, it's not pizza, and here's why. And they talk about it. And I love that show. I don't know. I watch
That's
that.
interesting. I'll have
watched
to
that
discover that one.
Yeah.
I haven't found that one. I mean, like
Yeah.
I watch.
It's whatever, but it's good.
Well, I mean,
It's dumb and it's good.
well, pizza, and then there's flatbread.
Yeah, so it goes into a whole discussion of what is pizza and what is not, and
Right.
I'm sure there's flatbread ones in some episodes that he brings in, and then the guy he looks at it and goes, "That's not pizza," like right away, or he'll taste it and go, "This isn't pizza," and he'll say why, like why he thinks it's not pizza.
Yeah, well, I
They-
mean,
they
a
get into it.
traditionalist is a traditionalist.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, what is it? It's like dough.
I mean,
It's
like,
dough,
is it-
sauce, and cheese, right? But
But is a ramen burger a fucking burger?
right? Probably not.
No.
No.
Well, first of all, if you're eating ramen burgers, you might want to try something else because I've never been impressed by a ramen
Right.
burger. But like
That's gotta be super bad for you. Imagine the amount of oil it takes to crisp up a pack of noodles to like get hard enough to actually become firm. Like you're deep frying that shit, like,
Right,
And then
right.
you got two.
Yeah.
You got to have the top and bottom.
I know. I mean, like that's literally 2 servings of noodles you're eating
Yeah,
there.
and but also like fried to a crisp.
Is it crispy or is it kind of just like a little bit firm and chewy?
It's got to be it's got to hold together, right? So
Right.
I don't know if it's crispy, but it's got to be deep fried. Like that shit's got to go into oil, right?
right.
And,
True.
and noodles like that are all dense like that are just soaking up that oil.
Yeah,
it's so
no.
bad.
But at least it's got arugula in it.
Does it have to have arugula?
I don't know.
Okay, it might, huh? Fuck that,
Arugula
man.
is actually my freaking like go-to like leafy vegetable.
It's got a little bit of bitterness to it.
Yeah, a little
I don't mind it.
pepperiness. You
Yeah.
know, like I
It's
make
good.
it into salads. I top it on sandwiches. I fry it up. With a little
Whoa.
garlic and oil.
Whoa, awesome.
Yeah, it's like very versatile. So
Cool.
like every time I go shopping and I need like a leafy green, I just go straight to the arugula.
Arugula.
Because I feel like spinach, which is great and everything, has like sometimes there's just too much water in the plant.
Oh,
But
I see what you're saying. Actually, yeah.
but yeah, and then you fold it into a freaking omelet, or some shit like that. Arugula.
Arugula.
I want that whatchamacallit. What am I thinking of here? I don't even.
What are you?
I want that arugula money.
I want that arugula. Arugula industry, hit us up.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
We need your sponsorship. This episode of Robot and the Bear is sponsored to you by Arugula.
Arugula. The arugula industry is all up on us.
Do you watch like any of like the millennial stuff, like Worth It and
A little bit. You mean on YouTube? Yeah.
on YouTube?
Yeah, sure. I've watched some episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Worth it or not type of thing.
Yeah, I love Worth It. I actually but like I really loved it in the beginning because they were just kind of LA focused, and I was kind of like, all right, I gotta check these places out.
Well, is it the ones where they say like, oh, it's $1,000 steak versus a $10 steak or something, right?
Yeah, versus $100 steak,
or whatever it is. Yeah. I know. I've watched some of those.
Yeah, they're kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they used to be in LA, but lately they've been doing all these episodes in Japan.
And they go everywhere.
And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like, your audience can afford to go to Japan willy-nilly. And then, fucking
But I
find...
think that's the idea of what these shows are doing, though, right? They're trying to show you something different. Maybe it's, they quote, exotic, right? They're trying to show you something different that you might not get to check out. And they're just trying to bring you, that's kind of the charm of YouTube in a way. It's like, it's not the same as going, but I mean, you're sort of getting this experience.
Yeah,
of
but
going,
there's some crazy fucking travel food channels on YouTube that you can watch.
Yeah.
I
No,
know.
I watched one on God, where was that guy? He was in Dubai, but on the dirty streets of Dubai.
Right.
And he's trying different. The idea was to eat food that costs $1 only.
Whoa.
Like things that cost $1. And so he was actually looking for all these places that have famous $1 foods, like little sandwiches and things like that. And they were all, if it's $1, it's got to be $1 or less.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it was in Dubai, right? So I think there's a video on that, but it's like I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, but
I don't think I'm going to go to Dubai. If I do, that's a miracle. But in my lifetime, I don't know if I'm ever going to go to Dubai.
I would love to go to Dubai.
That's not my first choice to go anywhere. And if I do go, I mean, I might be in like towers and jets, but I'm probably am I going to be on the dirty streets of Dubai? Maybe. I don't know. Like I don't.
Highly unlikely.
But it's one of those things that I'm watching on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy looking.
Yeah,
Like some of it's like, get the fuck out of here, dude. You shouldn't be here, type of thing. And and it's like, oh, interesting.
Have you met any of these food bloggers, like the Strictly Dumpling guy or anything like that?
No, we wanted to interview him once for our Giant Robot Media, and evidently he said no.
Really?
Yeah. No.
What a dick.
Well, that's why I don't watch his videos.
Wow. No love for the giant robot.
Yeah, no, he said no.
Maybe it was just George that he didn't like.
Oh, well, that's possible. Oh, man.
Well, how's the Rakugaki show coming along?
Well, it's ending soon.
Mm-hmm.
So you made an observation that you said I've added a lot of artists after the opening.
Yeah.
But actually, no. It's the same amount of art on the wall.
Right.
I mean, it's exactly the same, but we put more online because there's 550 art pieces.
What's going? You heard my feelings about online galleries, didn't you?
Oh, I'm just putting art online though. But no, we're in person, man. No. But no, we just kept adding. There's just so much art that we couldn't put it all online, so we just put up sporadically as we're going. We're like, okay, we can add like 4 more artists' work, and as soon as I put some of yours on, sold some. So
sold some.
Yeah. So
you could have taken the ones that didn't sell and put those new Young Bucks on.
There's no new Young Bucks. It's the same stuff. You just didn't. There's so much art on the wall that you just haven't seen everyone's art, or you don't have it memorized. So
I definitely don't have it memorized.
Yeah. So
there was like hundreds of pieces there.
I'm so tired of it now. Like I've seen it so many times that I know every piece there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
If you tested me and showed me a piece of art, I can probably tell you if it's in the show or not in the show. You know what I'm saying? Like if you just showed me a drawing, I'll be like, nope, that wasn't in the show.
But Eric, I actually after talking to you about the Murakami show several weeks back, like I've come to the realization that the way you look at art is much more
superficial and stupid.
No, I look at things just like, oh, okay, it's a bunch of fucking whatevers, and I walk away, and you're like to go, oh, but like some of them are like have these expressions, and some of them, and I'm like, whoa, like I never didn't even fucking take the time. I just said, God, so
I'm
bunch
looking
of this and that.
Oh no, I mean I like looking closely at things, but
and then fucking with hunts, like
wait, you're not supposed to say anything about that one.
Okay,
we're not supposed to say anything about that, but I noticed some stuff about his work that maybe no one else noticed.
Was this incongruent with things?
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
perhaps incongruent.
Yes.
Yes.
You know. But so like what the show ends like
Technically this week, or technically tomorrow. It ends tomorrow.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you got next?
We have a show called Cones of Vision.
That's like in the eyes, like our eyes are made of
There's
like
cones,
cones,
right? Yeah. It's curated by Mari Inukai, and I think there are artists that she went to school with at Cal Arts.
Oh, cool.
And maybe, so I'm finding out not all of them were students there, some were teachers.
Oh.
So that's kind of cool, like having a student curate a teacher in that you might, maybe you admired a teacher,
Oh, yeah.
and you're getting them to be in your show.
Right.
Or, that's kind of cool.
Well, you have some professors in your stuff, like J.T. Steiny and
Is he a professor? I guess so.
yeah, he teaches at frickin' Otis.
Yeah, but I wasn't a student ever, so you know what I'm saying.
Well, I mean,
he's just some dude I know who teaches, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but he's still a professor.
I guess so.
Like,
I don't know. Is a professor usually a PhD, man?
is that what it means to be a professor?
I
A
don't
PhD?
know.
I don't know.
I feel like you're an instructor.
I thought he just needed a master's degree. And,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Maybe. Does he have a master's degree?
I'm sure he does. If you're going to teach there at like a prestigious art school.
Is Otis prestigious? I guess it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, Nathan Oda doesn't have an MA, I don't think, and he's teaching.
What?
And Wayne Johnson teaches there now, and he doesn't have an MA, right? He just barely has a BA.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think he teaches there too. So no, you can teach there technically. Edwin Ushiro used to teach there.
What?
Yeah, Edwin Ushiro taught classes at Otis, and he doesn't have an MA as far as I know.
Oh, I thought he did.
I don't think so.
I don't know about Edwin. I didn't know he teach at Otis, but I figured that
he's taught many class. He's taught over. Yeah, I think he might even be teaching at Otis now.
Does he have does he have an art school background?
Teaching?
Just
He went
education.
to Art Center.
Oh, Edwin.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like that's probably going to mean something.
I guess.
You know,
Yeah.
good
I
old
mean-
Cal Poly San Luis Obispo Mustangs doesn't mean fucking,
Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't
yeah.
mean shit to fucking.
No, I think I don't know. I mean, some of maybe it's by practice and experience that there's a lot of stuff to teach, man, that you can teach a lot of people. So if you wanted to teach, you probably could. I don't think, I think it'd be cool. It'd be more practicality, and maybe
Right.
it's like thinking about art too. Like what is artwork? Because you put a lot of thought into your paintings and stuff, right?
I like to think I do.
Yeah, well, I think you do. And there's reasons for why you're doing things, whereas some people don't have reasons. They just do whatever they feel like it, which is fine too. But I think you have a lot of artistic reasons why you paint what you paint. I mean,
Sure.
I think you have a long explanation as to what one painting is, whereas sometimes some people don't. They just paint because they like the way it comes out or whatever, and they're good at it, let's say. But you have an artistic explanation.
Oh, I have
It
to
seems-
rationalize it. I have
But
to
it seems like it's
rationalize
studied. Like that's it seems like that's studied to explain all that. Most people can't do it at a young age. Maybe it takes a little bit of experience.
Oh,
I think so.
I've got a lot of that.
So there you go. Teach that.
But
That's
no,
what you should. That's what you should teach.
Well,
Yeah.
But now then this weekend, I mean, we were talking. You also have WonderCon coming up.
WonderCon.
Yeah, the Southern California's fucking answer to a half-assed San Diego Comic-Con.
So before I move forward, a person did ask online. I think it's the first question is a fella named Brooke. Well, could be a female. Brooke Bowley asks, when is Edwin Ushiro doing another show?
When is Edwin Ushiro doing another show?
Edwin Ushiro probably next year. He had one this year scheduled and he canceled it. I think he's working on his whole bombardment of art and
Right.
also some of his health. He's kind of taking care of himself a little bit.
Yeah.
And no, he'll be back next year.
Oh, good.
But yeah, he had a show scheduled for like August or something, and he decided not to do it, which is all okay.
Oh, that's...
He told me way ahead of time, so it works.
Okay.
But the
okay.
1 month ahead of time stuff, no. Don't do that
no.
Yeah.
If you're gonna bail on a show, bail as soon as you possibly can.
Always, artists out there, everybody. If you're gonna bail, please bail. And you know what? The smartest thing too is if you're gonna like have a show that's gonna be really difficult for yourself to do, and you have time to bail, just bail.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, man. I mean, you could squeeze it, but if some people, it depends who you are. Some artists, they can bring it no matter what. Like they're busy, they'll still bring something, and they'll bring something good. Some artists can't do that, and it's like, you're
Oh, I definitely can't do that.
yeah, and then you end up kind of messing yourself up, and then that actually hurts the gallery too, right? It kind of hurts everybody. So
Right.
the idea is, if you have time to bail, please bail.
No, actually,
Yeah.
that's a great point.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, one of the things that a lot of artists are usually afraid of doing. I mean, like, I know I'm a little bit guilty of this, is like communicating with the gallery.
Yeah,
Like, when you've got deadlines and stuff like that, and if something's coming up and you're just need maybe an extra couple days or maybe even a week, before, depending on when the show is,
right.
let the gallery, like, send a simple, email going,
Yeah.
hey, things are coming up. I might need some extra time,
So sometimes you can, like, as a gallerist, you could flip shows around. Like maybe one person can do it earlier, one can't.
Mhm.
You could flip a month. I don't know. It's hard to do that though. Like if it's a long time ahead, fine. But if it's a short time ahead, oh, that's tough.
Right. Well,
But,
I was just thinking of just general, like, deadlines in general,
Yeah.
like, like, say, even like for a group show or a 3-person or 4-person show, if, like, like, I don't know, like, how quickly do you, like, get your do you ask for previews for your
Oh
artists?
man, I want previews, but I don't expect any ever. So I go with that attitude that like a lot of artists won't be able to provide anything, and I pretty much expect that. So I'm okay with that. So man, worst case, you could bring art day of the show, and I'll if it comes down to that for whatever reason, just bring it day of the show, and I'll take it. But that's not ideal.
Right.
I'd rather have it 2 days early or a day early. But I mean, yeah,
Oh.
I mean, I don't need it a week early. Like that's cool and all, but we don't need to do that.
All
But
right.
I mean, but if it's you got problems and it's got to be day of, then bring it day of. Because we did have a show. I don't even know if I want to say the person's name, but
You don't have to say it.
their show started. Day of the show. I think it was 8 p.m. and I still didn't have the art.
What?
And people were there. Walls were blank.
I've done that once.
Walls are blank, and then something like 8:30 they came with the art, and I was like, oh shit, and I closed for like 15 minutes and hung it all, and then there went the show, went up.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying, like that's a rough one, but that's happened.
So that actually reminds me of a show that I did way back in, was it like 2008, 2009?
Oh, is this some heyday money time, like when everybody was buying art?
Oh,
Or is
yeah.
this kind of like,
Yeah, or maybe even 2007, like, during the.
oh wow, yeah, okay.
I did a show at M Modern Gallery.
What's it called?
M Modern
M Modern
in
okay.
Palm Springs.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, you remember? I don't know whether or not you remember this, but like, or aware of this, but like, say like, in the I remember when I first moved to Los Angeles, there was like basically 3 galleries that I knew of that would, like, showcase my work, that I thought would showcase my work. Those were like La Luz de Jesus, CoPro Gallery, and Mary Karnowski.
Awesome.
And those 3 galleries were pretty tough to kind of crack into, so, but then there was another one, and that was M Modern Gallery, and it's
Wow.
all the way out in Palm Springs. Now, by 2000 and like 9 or some 2008, around 9, a lot of galleries had come up. Through by then, like, obviously Giant Robot was one of them. That Gallery 1988 came up.
Shit.
You
We
know?
were open in 2003, man.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
know, but like
yeah.
this is pre 2003. Like all
Oh, I see.
these galleries, they were advertising in Juxtapose magazine and
I see.
all the and stuff like that. And yeah, I think whatchamacallit, like 1988 actually opened up maybe like half a year after you did.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. I thought they were more like 8 years ago or something.
No.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Cool.
So, but like I think that like so like the opportunity to show at like one of these 4 kind of recognized galleries was
Right.
kind of a big deal, but you know, at the time I was also a freaking white hot mess.
Uh-huh.
You know? Like, you know, I was, I mean, like, you know, to put it bluntly, like I was doing a lot of meth and freaking a lot of, you know, dope. And then like I was like not sleeping and I was trying to cram out paintings, but like I was too strung out at
Wow.
the same time. And like I was fucking, you know, driving that that day of the show with, you know, all my artwork, you know,
From
from LA to Palm Springs,
Wow.
which isn't like, you know, that far.
Well, it's a couple hours.
Couple hours, yeah, but like when you leave at 4 p.m. and you show up at 8 p.m., you know,
It took 4 hours.
that's because I was pulling over and fixing and pulling over and fixing and pulling over and fixing.
Oh, I was like fixing art. No,
No.
you were. Oh my god!
You know, and
Holy shit!
you know, and I fucking like, you know,
Whoa!
I showed up
Oh my
at the
gosh.
fucking gallery, and freaking like I was looking at and there was a ton of people out there like waiting inside and outside for me,
Whoa!
and freaking
in
like
Palm Springs.
and Palm Springs.
I didn't know you had a fan base out there.
I think people came in from LA to see the show.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
and I mean, like, mind you, this is like, you know, at the one of the first peaks, you know, especially when like the toy thing
Yeah,
was huge
sure.
and stuff.
I get it.
And I like was flustered and embarrassed. I opened up the trunk and like my friends, like, you know, Thomas and Patrick and all these other guys came out to the trunk, and I grabbed two paintings that I still working on.
Whoa!
You know, and freaking I just you know, and in one hand I grabbed one of the paintings that was in the trunk, you know, and, you know, lugged it to the fucking gallery and just put it, you know, painting side against the wall. And then like all my friends helped, you know, grab the rest of the paintings, and we set it like against the wall, and I just ran to the fucking back of the gallery in the storage area and just started crying because I was so embarrassed by like everything that like that was going on. And like, you know, I had like the, you know, my fucking I had opened my backpack and pulled all my paints out and freaking like had the last two paintings fucking sitting there, and I was just crying and painting and just, you know, a complete wreck. And it was literally the darkest, you know, moment in my fucking art career.
Whoa!
You know?
So wait, I mean, that begs the question: what happened? I mean, not what happened to get there, but what happened once you got there? You put your paintings against the wall.
We
Like,
put the
did somebody
paintings
hang?
against the
Did
wall.
somebody hang them like right then and there? Or?
Yeah. And everyone turned all the paintings around, and they hung them up and basically sold all of it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you actually sold all of it, and then what about the two paintings that you're finishing?
And we sold those two.
I know, but did you finish painting them?
Yeah.
Right there?
No.
Oh, okay. You didn't finish them.
No, I was too fucking distraught
Oh my
to
God.
fucking finish everything. And they gave me an extra week, and then I don't remember whether I drove them back down again or if I think I shipped them back
So what
down.
happened? Like, well, your ultimate, like, did they have a talking to you? Like, dude, this was bad, or
No, they actually thought it was hilarious.
Oh my God.
They thought it was like one
Wow.
of the most like you know, like these kind of moments, you know, like I can look back and laugh at them now, but like, you know, and only reason why I can laugh about them is because, you know, I've got like 8 years sobriety on me
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah.
like freaking it was, you know, like, yeah, I mean, like when I think about like all the things that I like, you know, kind of could have happened on the way down, on the way up, you know, etc. Like with my career, like I still kind of am surprised that I still have one.
do the people know, like, you were?
Yes, of course.
Like, they knew what was
Yeah,
up?
I mean, it's pretty fucking obvious, you know,
Wow.
when you're like, you know, got holes in your arms and blood on your nails because,
Right.
you know, frickin' you're just, you know, you're obviously fucking like, you know, trying to kill yourself.
Right.
You know, so,
Wow.
you know, but
That's
like,
gnarly. But
yeah.
so, did you show there again?
I did, that was the last solo show I did with them.
Oh, okay.
You know, but they kind of like, the recession soon happened after
Yeah.
that. They kind of transitioned into a Shag show, you know, the artist Shag, Josh Agel.
Yeah.
he does like
Sure.
the kind of like
Yeah.
very Palm Springsy.
Yeah.
He's the guy who really made that style of art popular
Sure.
in the new wave of that really 2D
Yeah.
kind
I
of
don't know what you even
geometry.
call that. Like, what is that? Like, I feel like it's like out exotica. I don't know.
I think
You know?
exotica would be a great word for that because
But I'm just talking about that's like music style, right? That Martin Denny like cocktail.
or that
You know, it has like it's like beatnik cocktail.
it's a beatnik thing, but it's also kind of inspired
Yeah.
by like Disney illustration work.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
But it's like the mod angle of it, right? Kind of. It's cool.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, especially like the way like artists like say. I mean, I can't. What's her name? It's Mary Curry. Is that her name?
Mary Blair.
Mary Blair. Yeah.
Yeah. Small World, like
Yeah.
Disneyland.
Yeah, like
Oh,
that
dude.
super flat stuff. That stuff, like
Sure.
artists like Amanda Vassell and
Yeah.
Josh Agel or Shag. Like those guys really like took that style and made it their own.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I think I mean that's kind of like where like art is in general, right? Like it's about like building off of what has already been
Sure.
been created. My own work is probably a culmination of all kinds of different like styles and
But that's
stuff like that.
just that's just being influenced by something, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, just same with like, and well, I would even equate it to like writing, which isn't even something I'd even enjoy that much doing nowadays. But when I had to write as a writer, sometimes I would read other articles and I'd read it and get all inspired. I'd be like, oh, that was so well done. And there was an article about something and I'd be like, fuck, I got to write an article as good as this with this kind of feeling that it evokes, So I got to figure out what am I going to write? But then I want to write it as well as this, you know what I mean?
Well-
and then it makes you want to do it. So,
But
yeah,
you
I
also
think that's
had the
cool.
motivation of being a publisher and an
Yeah.
editor and
which means I
no.
could kind of do what I want. Right? I could just say, you know what? I'm going to do this. It's going to get 6 pages and that's it.
Right.
Sorry,
I
too bad.
I mean, like that's the thing. Like, I mean, you have so many things to take into consideration. Like, I've never, like, I used to publish a zine back in the day, but like, I've never been at a point where like I had to even like take into consideration just how much content you were going to put in the magazine, and like how are you going to fit it all? How are you going to break it up? Because I know you did many articles where it's like, you had like 4 to 6 pages, and then it would continue on into the back.
Yeah, because you want to put as much as you can in the front part of the magazine,
Mm-hmm.
right? And let it have its shine, and then let the, if it's rambling text, just let it go to the back.
Yeah. But
you know what I'm saying? Like continued on page 78, which is fine. That's
well,
even
and-
better.
I mean, this kind of goes back into this
Yeah.
how detail oriented you are, right? Like I remember, like one time I was hanging out at the gallery, and we were looking at like a free rag that, like some Asian American bastard child of giant robot,
no.
and you were just kind of we were looking at it and like and you're just kind of looking and like just kind of pointing out, like not even really pointing out, you just started like making comments on like the
I did.
quality and stuff, and I was
Did
just
I?
yeah,
Oh,
and I
man.
was just like and I was like, at first I was like, what are you talking about? And then like once I started really looking kind of hard at it, I was like, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. Like you were commenting on the print quality.
Oh yeah.
You were commenting.
I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, whoa, like
I mean, yeah, but that's
you're an eagle eye. You have an eagle
Whatever.
eye, man.
It's
like,
whatever.
don't fucking like fuck with Eric at the
No.
press check.
but usually, so my experiences at press checks, man, there's just not enough you can do at a press check. You better be like 95 or 98% good at the press check,
Right.
because you can only fix it 2%. You cannot fix it 10%. No, it's
Right.
not going to happen.
Right.
So you better be like really close, because a press check to me, you could either say stop the presses, but there's really not much you can do to me. Like you can say 2% darker, please. There's just nothing.
Right.
There's just not much you can do.
Right.
Yeah, you're pretty screwed, in my opinion.
Was the magazine printed locally?
No, it was printed in Canada, so you couldn't even do a press check.
Oh
you know?
man.
No, you couldn't. And that's how it is in I think normal, like not every magazine, but most of the small magazines are like that. You're not printing in somewhere you could just access. It's not. It's not like that.
Yeah.
No, it's punk rock, man. You can't. You just have to you just have to know what you're doing and go with the flow and hope the printer is consistent.
Yeah.
That's sort of like how it works.
No, I remember the first time I had my first zine, like, printed offset, and yeah, I mean, like, I remember, like, it was I went to a press check and took a look at it, and like I couldn't think of anything that I could do to change it.
Yeah. Oh.
It was
You know
just like,
what? So sorry, man. Potasio asks an important question. What is the press check? What is a press check? We never even said that. So we're assuming everybody knows what that is.
oh, sorry.
Duh,
Okay,
right?
a press check
I realize
is
people might not know.
when, like, maybe an art director or publisher will go to the printer and take a look at the sheets that are coming off of the printer and make adjustments, like push the cyan, push the magenta,
Right.
push this, black.
But man, those guys should already be doing it pretty damn well. If you're, they're the masters of the press, right?
Right.
I would think that they know it to like the 99 percentile of being just right, and that maybe you could change it 1%. That's about it, man.
I think, like, dealing with 4-color printing, there's very little you can be able to do. But like,
You're
if you're
fucked.
going to be doing spot colors
Yeah.
or spot varnishes, like giving a gloss finish on top of a matte page or something like that.
That's cool.
Like, oh, it's super cool. Or printing on vellum or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, that's when
Maybe.
press checks really kind of can be tweaked and
Yeah, you just have to be able to like be willing to spend money to fix stuff too, though. What if you're like, you know what, this is the wrong kind of paper. I want to use that, and they got to stop everything, reload the paper, and all that costs money.
And then
you
they
know?
have to freaking order all the paper.
Oh, if that's the case, then you're just like, okay, I'll be back next week. But usually, you just
But
wanna
then,
get
like,
that
think
shit
about,
done,
I mean,
man.
then you just already threw all this money at all this
Fuck.
paper,
All I say is fuck. That's the, oh man,
Yeah.
that's why you just have to like. You have to just chill out on that stuff.
You have to- I mean,
if you can just chill out on it and just kind of get your project done. That's what I would suggest.
That's the power of the internship to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Too. Like, you get an internship with a professional. You see how they work. You see
Fuck
how
yeah.
they handle these kind of the system that was built up around it. I mean, like, I think a lot of it has kind of changed, especially because of digital printing.
Yeah.
On printing on demand.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
of course, the
absolutely.
thing is that, like, they just do not know how to bind a book, with digital printing.
Sure.
You could always tell, like, it's
Yeah.
the spine is too tight. You can't really open pages without creasing them. It's book binding is an art.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they have binderies just to do that, right? So I mean, they have binding departments and stuff. So, yeah, man,
and-
that's tough.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think that, like, yeah. I mean, like, I think it's like fun for novelty shit. Like, if you want to go and like make a little like thing that you give to all your wedding guests or whatever.
Oh yeah, then you could use one of the online like blurb.com or Shutterfly or whatever it is. You could make little books. You can make hardcover books now, right?
There's
They
a fucking time and a place for that kind of
Yeah,
thing. But if you're gonna
absolutely.
fucking if you're gonna do like an actual like book like art book or whatever, and I mean, like, of course it's kind of pretentious for me to say like the best books in the world are art books, but like I can't imagine wanting to buy much else, because I mean, like, you could read most
yeah,
things on like your tablet or your computer and whatever, and it takes up less space,
sure.
but like art books definitely have a unique quality to them. There's nothing quite like looking at the art like on a page at full resolution.
And also, that's what I guess once artists' work get too expensive, or just the value's too high and people can't access it, and maybe you live in, I don't know, city, state, country where that art it doesn't even make an appearance. Like, it never even makes it to your country, wherever you're at.
Right.
Whatever shithole country you're at. I'm just kidding.
Ouch.
I'm kidding. That said, though,
Trump.
but that's that's what books are for, right? In that case, because I remember, I think Yoshitomo Nara said that his art was getting too expensive. All that stuff. People can't afford it anymore. So books were important for him, because then now you could access his art. It's in a book form, but because you can't really buy it necessarily. And
Sure.
Yeah. So, and
Sure.
he said that. I mean, he said that a long time ago because he's been balling all for this whole time. But
Yeah, I mean, he's a
but that
baller.
said, making books that's the reason. Like
Yeah.
that's why he wants to make a lot of books.
Yeah, I think I own plenty of Yoshitomo Nara's books.
Sure.
So, but like actually, there's something to be said about that because like I remember discovering his work when I was living in San Luis Obispo, and I mean like I live in San Luis Obispo. It's not that far from at the time I lived in San Luis Obispo. It's not that far from Los Angeles, But like who has the time just to go to an art gallery for
Yeah.
like half an hour, 20 minutes?
Well, sometimes you might have to, if you're in LA, I mean, drive across town, and then it's like there's
it's
a lot of issues.
it's a lot easier to make a 40-minute trek to a freaking art gallery versus say a 3.5, 4-hour trek to a gallery.
Sure. Yeah.
And so like seeing artwork, experiencing artwork is so much easier with a printed book.
Sure.
And I mean like obviously we've got Instagram and we've got like
it's not the same.
Oh, it's definitely not the same.
No.
Especially since you're kind of locked into certain like sizes and stuff like that.
Yeah, but also the book's got a nice, you're turning pages, but you can go back to things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the key is you can kind of go forward, go backwards, and at your own pace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can like really study something. And,
Right.
you might not do that at the gallery. You might actually not, because like even at the Murakami show, you talked about, well, I don't want to read all this. I'm going to take a picture of it and read it later, right?
Right.
Same thing. But if it's in a book, you can spend an hour on one page if you want.
Yeah.
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 But you can't quite do that at the gallery. So there's like pluses on that and minuses,
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. But it's cool.
No.
Books are awesome.
No, books are great.
Yeah.
Like I remember like
And for a second, man, books were like dying. Even books, right? Magazines died.
yeah.
Leave it to me to tell you that magazines died, right? I know this, but books did too for a while. Like we couldn't sell any books.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's somewhere in that 2011, maybe 2010, 2011, around there.
Yeah.
We couldn't sell books. Books were over. Like I could sell no books,
Mm.
and maybe it was only person selling books was like Amazon because they were mostly a bookstore then, right?
Right.
Online books. But yeah, no, the store, I couldn't sell shit. And then I realized, like, this is a little bit of retail experience, but I realized, well, there are things that someone, the psychology is like, okay, a $40 book, you may want it right there, or you may go, oh, I'll just buy an Amazon because they have it at 40% off the first day it comes out, right? Somehow I'm like, fuck, that's fucked up. So
Right.
I remember I started easing back into selling books was by selling low price books because let's say it's $10 at my shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the retail price of the book. Amazon might have it for $7.99. Okay, you're going to save $2,
Right.
but you're going to wait 2 days or 3 days.
Right.
Or you could just spend $2 extra, support a store, and have it right there.
Yeah.
So I started like easing back into selling books by thinking, oh, I could sell books. They just can't be the most expensive ones because I see people pull out cell phones when they have books and they're going, oh, that book is $69 here, but on Amazon it's $42.
Right.
And they're fucking placing the order right there, right?
Yeah.
But then I realized, oh, okay, but you can compete with Amazon in a way by sort of doing that and realizing, okay, well, is
Yeah,
someone
but it's not that big of the difference isn't that
Right.
big.
So then that's what got me back into selling books, but it took a long time because for a second no one was even buying $10 books. I swear I couldn't sell anything, and now I would say books are back. I mean,
Right.
yes, absolutely, books are back.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then you like also will have artists sign stuff.
Sure.
I mean, like
But it's just I think there is a little more of the retail experiences there, but I do think books are back, man, and magazines are sort of back in a weird way.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, not every magazine, but I mean, there's certain magazines like maybe it's the digital publishing thing where, the magazine looks good, seems pretty good. Maybe they're only printing like 300 copies and selling it for like $20 each, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There are magazines where I go to like a zine fest or some kind of an arty zine fest.
Well, zine fests are very different.
Yeah, but sometimes if I go to an arty one, I'll look at a person sitting at the table and they have like 4 issues of a magazine, and I walk up and I look and I'm like, fuck, this is a real magazine. And then so lo and behold, look at me. I go and I look at who printed it because sometimes they give credit to the printer, like, and I contact the printer because I'm like, oh shit, I want to know how to do one of these magazines.
Right.
So I contact the printer, and then I find out that some of them, I go, okay, so I want to quote for 1,000 copies.
Right.
Because, like, for Giant Robot, I mean, 1,000's too little. Maybe I forgot. I think maybe I even asked for 5,000. You know, I'm like, okay, what would it be for 5,000?
Right.
And the printer's like, no, I can't do 5,000. I wouldn't do it. That's too much. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like, okay, what about 1,000? That same printer said, I can't do 1,000. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? You can't do 1,000? He goes, no. I do smaller runs. So his sweet spot, or her, I forgot. It was a he, I think. He said his sweet spot was like printing 150 to 200 copies. So that means that magazine I saw that looked, what I thought was an art magazine, looked good. Their print runs are only 100, 150 copies, and that's all they're making. So
how are they fucking making money on
I don't know. That's beside the point. But, you know, they're selling that magazine for $15, maybe $20. But, I mean, they're only
is there written content? Or
yeah. It's written, some images. You know, it's kind of arty, right? It's an arty art magazine or some sort.
Sure.
I don't know what's written in there. I didn't read it. But, you know, it's a lot of it's images, but there's art, like writing and stuff. But it's one of those things where I'm like, whoa, like this magazine that looks pretty damn good. Is in a run of like under 200 copies, you know, and that's crazy. Like under 200 copies, you're going to do all that work for under 200 copies.
Right.
But just the fact is that printer they can't make you 500 copies. They can't even do it. The guy goes, no, we wouldn't even do that. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like
crazy.
You're making magazines.
How long ago was this, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe. So that's the power of that digital printing shit. It's just like,
but when you felt the magazine, it felt like
it felt pretty good. Like not, you know, I could see like it's not perfect, but I mean it was pretty good, like passable. I was just like, this looks like a magazine that I would have thought that they printed thousands of, and it was it was under 200 copies. I was like, what the fuck?
That's crazy. Okay, digital press, I think,
but it was a magazine. I think you even had a square spine and everything.
Smart bound and everything.
Yeah.
Smart binding is when I think
isn't square binding. I don't know.
Square or smart. I forgot. What
I'm sorry. It's called perfect binding.
Perfect binding.
My
yes.
bad. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been in design schools. When they have the when you look at a magazine and it's got a nice like flat kind of binding to the edge. In case you want to know.
Perfect binding.
Perfect binding.
So yeah. Crazy.
Wow.
Oh, wait. There's a few comments if we want to get to them. I don't know if this is the smart way to go, but finally we're getting comments. So Brick Bowley says, Luke should make a scary children's book. What do you think of that? Would you make a scary children's book?
You know, I think a lot of my work is kind of rooted in my own personal experience. And I think, I don't have children. I don't think I ever will have children. So I think I'd only ever would create such a product if I did have a child that I'd be creating it for.
Oh, awesome.
I try not to, I kind of like don't really, take on things that are just outside of my personal realm.
Right.
Or maybe it's, I'll do something that's a little bit more observational.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a comment. Like I just did this painting for a mother and child.
I saw that.
show.
Yeah.
That
was funny.
And I know nothing of motherhood or parenthood.
Right. So you don't breastfeed little kids or anything? No.
Yeah,
okay. Thank you.
But I
no teat action.
No teat action.
Right.
Just puking in their mouths.
Oh jeez. That's mama bird, baby bird, or whatever.
But yeah,
whole nother level.
I was thinking of how crazy it seems like when we observe just nature doing its thing. Like birds feeding mama birds or bird parents feeding.
It's crazy.
Their chicks.
That's some crazy shit, huh?
So
if you pay attention to nature, there's just so much weird things. You're like, how the fuck? But
I really
that's
think
the magic.
That I was just this thought just literally came to mind. I really want to believe that stuff like karma or these ideas like karma and stuff like that have really perverted the way we look at this world. We want to think that good and bad even themselves out, but they don't.
Oh, hell no. No. I don't believe that. No, they don't.
They don't.
No.
The world we live in is cruel and fucked up.
Great people get fucked up, and then bad people fucking score and score and score and score and score. Sometimes
and never gets, and sometimes it never gets back
Nope.
to them.
Nope. Yep. They
Yeah.
rocket to the end of their life.
Yep.
They get
You know, they
everything.
they sit back
They
and they
get the-
die with their
yeah.
families around them, and you know,
and they are douchebags and awful people that
Yeah.
fucking hurt people. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, nothing goes wrong.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, like obviously
And
that's
then-
not every case, but I mean
No.
it happens.
Oh, sure. There's bad people that keep getting away with shit.
You know,
Yeah.
so like you know, I think that like, you know, I mean, and part of that like is kind of gets back into this weird idea of like, you know how like human beings get squeamish when they think about where their food comes from and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, and it's kind of like, you know, no, like fucking, you know, something had to die,
Yeah.
you know, to fucking like, you know,
Well-
get this, you know, piece of protein.
Food chain.
You know, into, and, you know,
We are the
and-
top of the food
we're
chain.
top of the
Sorry.
food chain, and it's, you know, not a pleasant environment in which these, you know, creatures are dispatched. You know, so you
Yeah.
know, I think
Well, it's all done. It's part of its speed.
yeah,
It's like we need to lop off the heads of these things quickly as we can, so we can like make more meat ready for us to cook. Right?
Well,
It's like we can't be like, we're gonna euthanize you carefully, young buck. You know? Yeah. So my friend in Kyoto, he's outside of Kyoto, but he lives like in the countryside, and his kids are all homeschooled, and they're all super smart. Like, it's amazing, right? So he's got these kids that are like smart, homeschooled, talented. They can build anything, cook anything. They read books. They learn everything from books. It's amazing. Anyway, so they euthanize the animals that they catch for food, right? So they're actually they capture a boar. They don't like hit it with bats or something like that. They actually figure out the most humane ways where they think at least the animal's not feeling any pain. Like, you know, like sometimes they're bleeding out, but they're like carefully bleeding out where they're not, you know, it's not like
Right.
they're stabbing it with knives.
it's like it's not saying they're running with blood gushing everywhere.
No, it's no. It's like they find good ways to like euthanize the animals that are, you know, whatever. Not
Right.
you know, just sometimes it seems like they think the animal doesn't even realize that they're bleeding out, but
right.
you know, they're laying down and just chilling and their blood's going up.
Oh,
But they have to do that for food. But they use every piece of that meat, every piece of the animal, and take care. You know, but it's just that's one way to do it. And the opposite from what we eat most likely is just rampant, vicious, just blasting animals away.
yeah, we just fucking like put a fucking hammer
Yeah.
through the head. Then we fucking like tie up the fucking cow, fucking slit its throat, and fucking attach electric cables to its body to fucking get it to convulse all the blood out of it. You know,
Or No Country for Old Men. There's that thing that they put the forehead and it just goes, "Doop," and it just like shoots a fucking some kind of a metal thing. Just goes.
Yeah.
through. Oh my
yeah.
god.
But I mean, like
gnarly.
that's actually, I mean, like, you know,
That's probably the most humane
I
way.
mean,
But
it's the most
gnarly.
humane way of fucking
just sounds
taking it
awful.
out. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like, you know, what would you rather do? Like, shoot the cow and, you know, have it run until it bleeds out? I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Ugh,
you know,
horrible.
so-
Yeah.
But I mean, like, but the thing is that I mean, like, we have this idea of what if it being quote unquote horrible, but that's just the nature of
Just gotta
the
accept
world
that.
we
You gotta
live
accept
in.
that. Yeah.
I know.
But some people don't want to know. I get it. But
I actually think that, like, you know, to a certain degree, I think that, like, you know, you should a human being should be forced to, you know, dispatch an animal, and to better appreciate what
Right.
it is they're doing,
Sure.
what they're getting, that what they are consuming, you know.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the
balls.
balls, the wherewithal
The
to fucking
stones.
the stones to do it, then you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but you know, I mean, we live in democracy,
Yeah.
and I'm not a government official, so
Cool. So a fellow named Brian Sim says, Luke, hope you visit Singapore again. Will you go to Singapore?
well, I'm working on it. Definitely working on it.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
hopefully, I've got some projects with Flab Slab and
Flab slab.
Yeah,
Right
float like a butterfly, butterfly sting like a bee.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
and they are
Dope.
yeah, Jeffrey Koh. He's the president, the mastermind of Flab Slab, and
Wow,
you
these
know,
names are just next level. Yeah.
he's really good at that.
Cool. Okay,
He's
wait.
probably one of the most angriest guys on the fucking, you know, in the Asian toy world.
Yeah. Let's see. Potasio then comments, it's also interesting to see how artists publish their sketchbooks as books, which
Yeah.
makes a new purpose for books. You know, Kim Jong-gi is an example, right? Because he does a annual, you know, his own book, right? Annual. Yeah. I mean, he draws fucking a lot, so he's making these annual
I
books.
would not have anything worth publishing.
Well, that's what zines are for.
Well, you know, I mean, like, I think process is very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
like, you know, like artists like him and say Terada, you know, like those guys are amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
even
they're-
Yosuke,
Sure.
you know, a lot of these guys who like draw
But
for
some of these-
pleasure.
Yeah,
and,
but there's like the books are like 300 pages, man. I don't know, you know?
yeah, that's a little too much.
Like,
you
how
know?
do you?
Like, get yourself a nice
How do you do
freaking
that?
like, you know, like have you seen those Moleskine 3-packs?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
just
sure,
take
sure.
take one of those.
Yeah.
You know, and draw that much worth of good quality stuff and publish it.
That's cool, right?
You know,
yeah, that's
you,
worthy.
only, you only need
Yeah.
like maybe like, you know, like an 80 to 120 page book. And remember, kids, if you're making a zine, it usually should be divisible by 4.
Oh yeah,
That's it. You know,
yeah.
that's kind of important.
Need those the page counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust us.
Wait,
Yeah.
so you got WonderCon coming up?
Yeah, WonderCon's this weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's the little like you know, like left ball of Comic-Con. You know,
Right,
Comic-Con's the whole body. Here's the left nut. It's WonderCon. it's
Does it droop a little lower than the right?
yeah.
Or
It's
does
just
the right droop a little
I
lower
don't
than
know. It just sags a little bit. You know, it's this little saggy little buddy.
Oh,
Saggy little buddy.
saggy little buddy.
Saggy, wrinkly little buddy.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's in Anaheim. It's a convention. I mean, if you've never been to any comic convention, or I don't want to say comic convention, but just I guess it's a pop culture convention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go to WonderCon. Check it out. I think in that way it's good. But if you've gone to a bunch of conventions, WonderCon's just all right.
Yeah. It doesn't have quite the hype and the madness of a San Diego Comic-Con.
but it is like, I would say maybe this is like Comic-Con 20 years ago. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, or 15 years ago, right?
I never
Yeah,
went.
it's sort of like that. It's like Comic-Con and its younger stage.
How long have you been going to San Diego?
25 years in a row, maybe.
25 years
Something
in
like
a
that.
row.
Maybe 26. Yeah.
Was it always for Giant Robot, or were you going before?
So I went once before Giant Robot, 1 year. So I guess I went in 1993
Mhm.
as the first time I went to San Diego Comic-Con. And then 94, Giant Robot started as a zine. And then I went back to Comic-Con and was a small press.
Wow.
Yeah. Had a small press table. Yeah. So I've been going ever since. Yeah.
My first Comic-Con was my first San Diego Comic-Con was in 2005, I think. And I remember at the time they still couldn't fill the entire convention center,
Right.
you know. And you know, like there would be like Giant Monkey King was I was going with Monkey King, and Monkey King like was all the way at the very like the far end, like the 4000s area, or I think it was the 4000s, and there was this big fucking open space there, and I was just like, okay, you know, whatever.
What
You
year
know,
was that?
2005.
2005.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember. Oh wait, was this when? Oh man, they had a reorganization and they put all the toy people in the back part of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
you know what? I was offered.
Actually, this was before that. This
Okay.
is like I think they did that in like 2007, and
I was offered to go, like, be part of that,
Yeah.
and I said, "Fuck no, I'm staying where I'm staying."
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing that everybody wants to come back, and I'm telling everybody, "Stay the fuck away." Like, don't come back here. You bailed. Fuck you. Stay over there.
I like your location. The location's
yeah.
good,
It's
but
the-
like
I'll take
but
it.
at the same time, I think that the 4000s are fine because like
Stay over there.
the problem with the
I'm kidding,
I mean, like, well, the thing is that like, you know, like you have like the Funkos out there, Kid Robots out there, Super Sevens
That's
over
what
there.
you asked for, man.
You know,
That's what you asked for. Stay over there.
Well, I mean, like
Everyone
if
wants to
you're-
come back now.
Do they? I mean, like
Some have, yeah.
I think that that. Like,
Don't
if
come
you're
back.
a toy person, then you should be in the toy section. But if you're a small press, or if you're like, doing like books and stuff like that, then you should be where like you are nucleuses and stuff
All I
like
know is I saw, what was it? Is it HBO had a booth right by Monkey King?
Mm-hmm.
Disaster.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this is fucked up. Like, I would not want to be here.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah, that was like fucked up. Like, that was all wrong. And
No.
I don't know if it's changed or not.
Warner Brothers is right by it.
That's what
by
it
Monkey
was.
King,
It was
yeah.
Warner Brothers, I guess. But it
Yeah.
was like people were pressed up against his booth, like backs to the booth,
Yeah,
know? And I was
yeah.
like, I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it's still there. It's
horrible.
It's still there. I mean, I don't know whether or not it's like
He needs to lay
right there,
Yeah,
but
he needs
like-
to lay down like those fart pellets or something. Like, it's so bad.
Well,
Yeah.
it's what's crazy is just like the way they escort VIPs in, like like they kind of need to have like these like big booths against the back wall.
Yeah, they need
know.
they need to separate it better. But yeah,
know.
that's the problem.
Because what they'll do is they'll put like security and like how like there's these nooks cut into the back wall where like they have all the doors going out.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they'll
yeah.
just like send security and block everything between the they'll block the entire
that.
walkway and freaking like between the booth, like the Warner Brothers booth, which is a huge booth.
Right.
And then like
Yeah.
the back doors, and then like the doors would open and people will be escorted to the
Right.
the thing, and like fans are screaming.
Yeah. So WonderCon doesn't quite have this,
It does
right?
not. It does
so,
not.
But the entertainment stuff is starting to happen at WonderCon.
Is it?
Yeah. There are like some shows that are starting to get promoted. I believe they're going to promote Legion at WonderCon.
They're probably going to promote the DC channel.
I don't think Avengers is going to get. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like smaller shows, not tiny, but smaller. Like the next level lower, maybe
Right.
TV shows. But it won't be like you won't get Game of Thrones there, no. But you're going to get like some other shows that'll be there.
I'm actually,
which is cool, but
well, not that Game of Thrones needs the promotion.
no, they don't need it. But I'm saying is that they would do that at Comic-Con, but they're not going to do it at WonderCon. WonderCon will get like a show, but the big show might be Legion.
Actually,
like that'll be the big thing or something.
Last night I
Yeah.
was listening. Who plays Daenerys Targaryen? Is it Targaryen?
I don't know, some hot blonde.
Yeah, she was actually like on
I don't know.
some NPR freaking show doing like interviews,
Uh-huh.
and I was kind of like, is this the press junket for
Probably.
Game of Thrones?
Probably.
Because like
I mean, they
I don't think they need it.
I know, but it's just massive. But yeah, so
No.
we will be at WonderCon. We're kind of near one of the entrances, front entrance, I believe. We have a booth kind of near there, which is nice.
I'll be there on Friday. I'll come and visit you.
Friday's the first day. See you there.
Yeah, I got my like.
I do know that Saturday gets busy. Sunday, not as much. Friday, definitely not as much. But I know Saturday can feel pretty full. Which I remember the first year. I mean, I think I've done this 4 years in a row.
All right.
I do notice that Saturday is pretty good.
Can I bring some
Yeah.
shirts in for you to sell?
Did you bring them tonight?
No.
And what else did you bring? Nothing. Oh, where's this? After this podcast, everyone who you ever run into Luke Chu, ask what he got in the trunk. What's in the trunk of your car, Luke? This guy's like, like Too Short, and like that whole myth of all the rappers selling CDs out of their trunk or selling mixtapes from their trunk. Luke sells toys from his trunk. of the car.
No,
I've seen you, man.
I've done it before, but only because I was prepared.
I've
But-
seen this guy with toys in his trunk, and that shit's for sale. And it's like all rare shit. So,
No. Like,
you don't
like-
have anything in your trunk right now?
No, nothing in my trunk
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
But like I do have
Sometimes
like
it's in
some
there.
like of the Boba shirts,
In the trunk?
and some you probably don't need any of the I Asked for Scrambled shirts.
I'll tell you, after the podcast what I need.
Okay.
All
cool.
right.
All right.
All right.
All right. We're gonna have
Yeah.
some swag
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
from me at the
Yeah.
giant robot booth.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. But like, wait. So the show that Mari Inukai is like promoting, I heard a rumor that like Pendleton Ward is going to be in this show.
Pendleton Ward, creator of Adventure Time, is going to be in the show.
Wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know they were like friends.
Um,
That's big time.
maybe he went to Cal Arts too. I'm not sure.
Are they the same age? Because I
don't know.
imagine him as being like some big bearded kind of like
I think
older guy.
I think he's big bearded. I don't know. I have no idea how old he is. I mean, he's not like he's not in his 20s.
Right.
I'm assuming he's
Our age?
something. Yeah, maybe. But I don't think I've officially ever met him, and I kind of don't know what he looks like either. I have no idea. So he's going to be in the show.
Were you an Adventure Time fan?
A little bit. I mean, not a hardcore Adventure Time fan.
It's a good show.
I hate to say it, like I don't watch a lot of animation. Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
That's too bad.
I think I used to more, but I
I
don't
make
watch
up. I make up the
Dude,
difference.
You read manga too.
I do.
I mean, you read like all kinds of manga. That's crazy.
yeah, I know.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
I'm just like a child at heart.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So I think so Penn Ward will be there, Mr.
Nice.
Penn, and we'll see how it goes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are there any other animators that are have like? I mean, like Pendleton Ward's kind of got a pretty big name. It's kind
yeah,
of
we
hard.
don't have. There's no other superstar animators. There's going to be other folks that work in animation,
Right.
but I don't think there's other animators like that.
Ah.
Yeah, like Jeff McFetrich went to CalArts and he's not in the show, and he doesn't. He did a little bit of animation, but
Who's-
yeah.
Who's that?
Oh, he's rad artist, man. I don't.
He's not in the show.
No, he's not in the show.
Oh.
But they probably were classmates. I wouldn't doubt. I bet you they were there at the same time. Yeah, he's rad.
But after all of this,
After all of this,
you're
there's
going to
more.
Yeah, you're going to Korea.
And there's more. Yeah, I'm going to Korea. I'm going to Korea to see James Jean's exhibition.
Exciting.
Yes, he has an exhibition. Okay, get this. It's in the Lotte Tower. So the Lotte Tower, or Lotte Museum, which is in the Lotte
The
Tower.
snack museum, man.
So Lotte, yeah. So did you know Lotte is a company that began in Japan and also now is in Korea as well?
I figured it was a Japanese company.
Yeah,
but
so it's a Japanese company, but the owner of it or the founder is actually a Korean. Maybe he's Japanese born, but he's a Korean, ethnically Korean.
Oh, okay.
So he uses a Korean name.
Which means he's Korean.
Yeah, he's Korean, but he probably
He's
was-
not Japanese Korean because there's no such thing as
Yeah,
Japanese
but he
Korean.
might be like second generation. I mean, who knows? Like maybe his parents are born.
Still
in
not
Japan.
Japanese.
I guess not. But like Masayoshi Son, there's executives that kind of came out saying, with a they start with a Japanese name. And then all of a sudden one day they're like, fuck this, I'm not hiding. I am Korean and I'm going to fly the flag, right?
Right.
So
It's like the name Kim becomes Kimura in freaking-
Kimura or Kaneda. Kaneda is often Korean.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because
I didn't know-
Kim, I believe Kim also sounds like kin.
Oh.
Kin is gold.
Oh.
Kaneda, kane means money.
Oh.
So like, there's a lot of connections to why maybe that they're using certain names.
Okay.
So like sometimes the word kane in the name is often a Korean last name.
Oh, interesting.
Kane means money, and then it's like, which is all linked to gold,
Interesting.
and which sounds kind of like Kim. So
Oh.
it could be all those reasons. But no, I'm going to the Lotte Museum, which is in the Lotte Tower,
Right.
5th tallest building in the world, son.
Whoa.
Yeah, so actually I'm staying in the hotel. So this building is so big. There's a museum that's gigantic, evidently, because I've seen images of it. And James
Is that what James is showing in?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the Lotte Museum, which is in the Lotte Tower. Lotte Tower also has a hotel, so I'm staying in the Lotte Tower Hotel. So I'll just have to come, hopefully, downstairs to his art show. I don't have to leave the building.
Are you gonna go crawl around and look for some Korean barbecues and like?
Yes. I mean, I'm only there for a very short time. I'm there for literally 2 days or less. Less than 2 days. I'm going to get there evening of the 2nd. The show's on the 3rd. The VIP day anyway. The show starts technically on the 4th, but I'll be at the show on the 3rd
Right.
for VIP night.
Nice.
And then I take off to Japan on the 4th in the morning. Peace out.
How long are you gonna be? Yeah, which means we're gonna have to be on a couple-week break, right?
Oh no.
I know.
Maybe. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's all.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not me you need to apologize to. It's the fan.
It's all a bunch of you.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then I'll go to Japan. So only there for 6 days.
Oh, you're not going to be gone that long.
No, but I think it might be. We'll see. Maybe we'll just miss 1 week.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Something.
Well, I
like
don't want to get you when you're jet lagged or
that.
anything
No,
like that.
I can do this. Yeah.
I'm a fucking champ.
Robot and the bear.
and the
robot.
bear.
The robot will not be the weak link here. It's not happening. So yeah.
No,
All good.
I'm excited to hear about your journeys.
Yeah,
You know.
no worries. We'll bring that up when it then the first podcast back.
Yeah.
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 Well, freaking yeah. I'm sure the James Dean show. I've seen like some of the Instagram stuff. It looks
my
freaking
God.
amazing.
Yeah.
He was actually working on some of that in your secret gallery.
Secret studio.
Secret studio.
Yeah, some of it was painted in the secret studio.
No,
Wonder where that is.
it's a secret.
Yeah, the paintings, some of them are, I believe, 36 feet and over 11 feet tall, but they're in 4 panels to make one big painting. So I suppose that means, what's 36 divided by 4? 9 feet wide by 11 foot something tall. And, 4 of them together make a 36-foot painting, and they're, very epic.
I can't even think like that. Like I do most of my paintings in what's known as portrait, like proportions, where it's like taller than wider.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Because most of my work is very kind of portrait-y.
Sure.
You know, but
Yeah.
like, to think like in landscape, proportions, and like, because like, I think that like, especially when you're looking at something that like has a horizontal configuration, like there's almost kind of a sense of time that goes through it, right?
Right.
Because like, when you read like
Left to right.
left to right,
Websites are left to right.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder if in Asia, does anyone like looking at websites right to left? Does that happen in Asia or nah? Is that bullshit? There's no way, huh? It's got to be left to right.
I think
general?
it's kind of
'Cause that's half visual and part of it's like literal. But you know what I'm saying? It's the visual too.
well, some of it like you'll
start
see
left to
like
right.
you won't see text arranged left
No. Yeah,
from top
right.
to bottom, but unless it's like an image file
Yeah.
or something like that. But
But
like
the text is never going to go right to left. So I think maybe it's almost universal that, at least in the world.
well, I mean, like
we're gonna-
originally, like Japanese
Yeah.
and
and
Chinese.
down or right
I'm
to
not even
left.
sure about Korean. Is Korean like
Dude,
calligraphy done
have
top
no-
to bottom, right to
I
left?
have no idea, man.
It's actually kind of weird that it
Yeah.
was done that way because I mean, like the logic behind doing writing left to right is most people are right-handed, and it's just a way of being able to write without dragging your hand over, what you had written.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what. Anyway, so I don't even know what we're talking about now. What happened?
we were talking about like I was just talking about the fact that like creating a
big
painting that's
paintings.
11 foot by 36. I mean
Sure.
like that's like
Holy
one.
smokes! And he did 7 of those. 7 big
3.2
paintings, yeah.
proportions,
Yeah.
and like I can't even imagine like trying to think that way, like like when I do like
You'll have to one day.
horizontal proportions.
Well, that's like murals. You do murals that are horizontal proportions, probably.
Sometimes I've done 2 of them,
Right.
but or 3 of them. But the thing is that like I still treat them with the same kind of, like the kind of portrait kind of compositions. But like,
Yeah, just do it your way, man. Well, whatever that turns out, do it your way. If you had that project to do a super wide painting, you'll find a way to do it.
yeah, I'm sure I would.
You'll
but-
just paint a bunch of portraits.
I think I would.
I don't know, whatever it is. I mean, you'll find a way to make it work. So
Oh,
you just have to get presented with that situation, and you'll do it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think that like, I don't know. I mean, like, I there's like, have you like if you look at like old like Chinese scrolls or something like that, or they would do these insane landscapes.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't like doing background kind of drawings. Like I don't like drawing. Like right now, I'm so fucking burnt out on fucking art. Because I've done 2 back-to-back
right.
shows, and I'm just like, I want to play video games and build Gundam models and fucking just eat, and,
Recharge. Yeah.
meet people and get out of my fucking apartment. I don't want to do art, but I still have to do art because
Right.
I have fucking deadlines. But like, it's I wish I could be one of those guys that like just that draws like Yosuke, like Terada, like that Korean guy whose name I can never
Kim
remember.
Jong-gi,
Yes, Kim Jong-gi.
the
And
Geeter, the Geeter,
The
The
Geeter.
Yeah,
And like I'm often curious, like, what proportion of artists listen to this show.
I
Like,
have no idea. A lot of the artists that most people who've told me they listen to it are artists.
oh, okay.
But non-artists, I've heard few. But I feel like most of them are artists.
I mean, like we
Or-
definitely
oh, no,
do.
but we don't want to be the artist podcast. It's like being the artist, right?
Oh,
We don't want to be the artist.
Artist.
We don't want to be the artist.
Holy
Maybe.
shit, are we going there
Well,
now?
we had some other topics, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I mean, like, I think what I was, we had originally planned on kind of talking about, like, I was willing to be pretty forthcoming about, my past with, drugs and, because I felt like, this would be a good time to, like, especially because, like, Purdue Frederick got, like, sued and
Yeah. What is that company called again?
Purdue,
Purdue, like the school, I guess. Purdue
or
Board, and
it's a
Frederick.
pharmaceutical company. Yeah,
Purdue Frederick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
wow.
I think it's Purdue. Let me double check
No,
on
no.
that.
Okay, it's not that important, I guess.
Okay,
But they make.
They make OxyContin,
Okay.
and they were I think they were sued by, I think it was Virginia or something like that.
A state?
A state.
Wow.
And they
Oh,
settled.
it was a lot of money.
Yeah, $250 million.
I would think it'd be bigger money than that, actually, thinking about it. But-
Yeah, but that is one of 18 freaking states that are suing them right now.
Why can't all states sue them?
I
just sounds
think
like
I think that the devastation, to different states was, varied, and
Is Virginia a really bad?
well, I think that, like,
I would think. Isn't California pretty bad?
OxyContin used to have a nickname, and the nickname was Hillbilly Heroin.
Oh my God. So wait, we're saying Virginia is a bunch of hillbillies that took OxyContin from Purdue Frederick.
I don't live in Virginia, or I don't live where that state. I don't know where that state is, but
Yeah.
I can speak from personal experience that, like, it, was the drug that kind of helped me kind of, spin out, that sent me down the path. But at the same time, I was thinking about it.
Was it prescribed to you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hell no.
Well, who gets the prescription of Oxy? I don't know.
OxyContin was kind of created for people with, like, what's it called? Like when you constantly have pain. It's not. Can't think.
Like arthritis?
No, like if you're, like, dying of cancer.
Oh shit! Like morphine
yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, I mean it is a morphine. So OxyContin is, like, there's hydrocodone and oxycodone.
I've heard of both of
Hydrocodone
these, yeah.
is Vicodin.
Okay.
Oxycodone is OxyContin.
I see.
And
They do the same things, or are they very
yeah,
different?
they're different. They do the same things, but vary in potency.
Right.
So, like, you'd have, like, Vicodins.
Well, Vicodin's the Tylenol with Vicodin. I don't know what the milligrams are in that.
Right. And then they have
Yeah,
Vicodin ES, and they have Percocet. Percocet is also oxycodone. Back in the day, like, I was really into pills when I started.
Right.
And so I, would go to the Barnes and Noble that I lived across the street from, and, open up, grab the PDR, the physician's desk reference, from the shelf, and just kind of open it and look for Schedule II drugs. Now, when you're dealing with narcotics, and a pharmaceutical level, they give it a schedule number. The lower the number, the more potent it is.
Wow.
So, like,
Okay.
a Vicodin is a Schedule IV drug.
So that's weaker.
That's a weaker,
Gotcha.
technically weaker, and a Schedule II drug would be OxyContin. Now,
Ouch. Sounds like okay.
and
Sounds bad.
a Schedule I drug would be recognized by the government as, like, cocaine, heroin, marijuana.
Oh,
you
really?
know? Yeah.
Oh, so it's like the most refined thing is like a illegal drug, basically, except for marijuana, I guess.
Right.
Holy smokes.
So,
Okay.
like, most street drugs are really not. There's nothing refined about them at all.
Oh, not refined.
Well, I mean, they.
You mean they have no medical purpose, quote in quotes, but they're just recreational?
Right. Well, the thing is that, like, when you're dealing with, like, fucking organized crime syndicates,
Yeah.
refining drugs, they're doing it at the bare bones minimum.
Gotcha.
You know?
They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck. It's
Unregulated. I gotcha.
you know, and then by the time
Yes.
it gets to the street, it's cut to shit.
I see.
So, but
Well, it's just to make more money.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but
Stretching out that pizza dough by adding more flour.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Put
Yeah.
a little more water, a little more flour. Get it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know, but I mean, like, you know, I was thinking about it like a little while ago, and I was thinking like, you know, I think my personal interest in like drugs and drug culture kind of started way before I, you know, kind of started, you know, experimenting with drugs. And I remember like, you know, being in elementary school in the 80s, or was it the 80s when I was, you know, yeah, 80s I was in elementary school. And I even wrote a paper on cocaine, you know, and like this was like, you know, during the entire like Reagan era, like
Right.
just say no,
Just say no,
you
yeah.
know, this is your brain
War
on
on
drugs,
drugs. The war on drugs. Yeah.
you know, and so I mean, like, you know, at the time, like, you know, I was fascinated by like drug culture, and I was fascinated by like, you know, William S. Burroughs and like the
Oh my
Naked
God.
Lunch stuff,
Gotcha.
you know,
Yeah.
and I was just genuinely curious. And so I think that curiosity is something that I ended up taking along with me when I went to college. And, you know, when I didn't do anything like that when I was in college, because I had it hammered into me by my parents. Like, if you don't graduate from college, you know, you're out of the family, or,
Oh no.
you know, or
Yeah.
some shit like that. You know, or at least, I mean, my parents never said anything like that specifically, but I kind of felt like,
Sure.
you know, that was, you know, that is what would happen if I didn't graduate from
Right.
college. But, you know, I mean, like when I was in college, I experimented with like LSD and, you know, shrooms. And actually I tried marijuana for the first time when I was 17, and I hated it. Absolutely fucking hated it. I remember like sitting, my story for my one major marijuana story was, it was the first time trying to smoke it. I smoked cigarettes, you know, and I, you know, kept trying to smoke this shit and like I wasn't feeling anything. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this? I'm not feeling anything. And then like by the time I finally felt something, I was so fucking like blasted out.
Oh, that's the weirdest part, because you don't know what you're supposed to feel like.
Right.
But
right.
it's like weird. It's like on a different plane in your own mind, right? It's like you haven't figured out what that plane is, but you're actually high, but you don't even know.
No, right.
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
It is the weirdest
And
thing.
then you figure it out, and you're like, oh, and you'll never leave that again.
But-
until it goes, you know.
Well, then the next thing you know, like I start getting nauseous.
weird.
And I go to, I was with a group of people, you know. I go to the restroom. I crawl to the restroom, and fucking like I plant myself in front of the toilet, and I just puke all over like my fucking hands and my fucking.
Why didn't you just
lap.
puke in the toilet?
Because I couldn't fucking reach it. I was just like,
jeez.
and
Oh
I
my
was just like,
God.
and then like all my friends were like screaming around, like Luke puked, Luke.
Jeez. Okay. Good friends there.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, like they cleaned me up and everything, and then like I passed out on the sitting up in
Wow.
the couch, and then I continued trying to figure it out for years after that, like. Well, everyone loves marijuana. Why can't I love marijuana?
It just doesn't work for you.
It's fucking like, and I finally kind of deduced that like I think I'm like allergic to it.
Could
Like,
be.
you know, like, you know, my lungs would get very irritated.
Holy smokes.
Anxiety, you know, like just like
Paranoia.
paranoia,
If you-
yeah. And
that's
so
horrible.
I finally was just like, you know what, I can't do this.
Yeah. So when did like your, I guess, partying become a problem?
Well, okay,
And
so
how does that how did that happen? Because it sounds like you're just having a good old time right now.
yeah,
Except for not the smoking pot part, but
No.
you've got friends that are like,
Oh.
you know, like laughing and having a good time. It sounds like you guys are just having a, you know, this is recreational.
yeah, recreational and
recreational
like, you know,
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
recreational fun. Well, like, you know,
harmless recreational fun. I hope I can say it at this moment, but
But I graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in 1997, I think. And but I got hired by a company, the Ernie Ball Company, to as an in-house graphic designer and advertising
Strings?
designer. Yeah,
Strings, guitar
yeah.
strings.
Guitar strings and Music Man guitars like the Stingray bass and
Oh,
everything like
okay.
that. And
Wow, I actually knew that.
yeah.
Somehow.
Oh, they're huge. They're Ernie Ball's like one of the number one like string producers in for rock and roll and rock guitars in
Ernie Ball.
North America. And
Is he still alive?
Ernie passed away.
Oh,
But before he passed away, his son Sterling,
Sterling Ball.
Sterling Ball.
Wow.
I actually just talked to him today.
Really?
Yeah. We're still like
That's his name?
Yeah, Sterling Ball.
Dude,
I know.
I'm Platinum Ball. What's your?
But like he kind of they hired me on, and I got really close with the with Sterling, and and I just kind of was living in San Luis Obispo, one of the most boring fucking cities for a 20-something-year-old to live in, unless you fucking surf, and drink or whatever. And at the time, I did drink. I drank a lot.
Right.
I was drinking like almost every night because I was just so fucking bored.
Well, there's a lot of like these days. There's a lot of beer and all that stuff there, right? Like
Right.
breweries. There's microbreweries.
There was breweries.
That whole scene is
but
there.
I used to just go to fucking like dive bars and
Sure.
fucking drink my boredom away.
Right.
Because I think that like living in an active environment where there's so many different things going on at once might have been probably better for me, but I just lived in San Luis Obispo.
Right.
There's only a couple of things you could do, on the surface: go to school, get drunk, and fuck.
Uh-huh.
But then I think soon the school part was gone,
Right.
and I kind of got really, got myself into a lot of stupid situations with the fucking part, and it got even more, and it usually went hand in hand with the drinking part, and I kind of was like, all right, I think, I need to
Wait.
find some things, figure something out here.
Okay, wait. You opened up the door here. What about this fucking part? Like, what are the weird situations?
You just hook up.
Name one weird situation that was pretty good. That sounds peculiar. Did you?
I've got some really funny stories about that, but I don't know whether or not I want to put any of them up right now because it'll I don't feel like sharing any of these right now, specifically. But
Damn.
what
You're missing out, everybody. I don't know what they are, but they sound good.
There's when you go to bars and you drink a lot, and you just end up kind of hooking up with people.
Damn.
You
Everybody go to bars.
at least especially in a college town, because you just got a bunch of young people, who are who want to party, or whatever. But so I ended up meeting a bunch of locals, because I now was basically a local, and I I had always been genuinely curious about drugs, and
Yep.
through them, I was introduced to a lot of, to cocaine and, just partying and stuff like that. And then I remember I was hanging out with some people, and they kind of, introduced me to snorting OxyContin.
Wow.
And I remember
that's a pill?
Yeah, it's a pill.
Okay.
And they crushed the pill up, and
Right.
they would, cut it into lines, and you would snort it. And there was so much narcotic in the pill that, it was, you might as well have just been doing any other, street quality drug. But I think that, I mean, I remember watching an interview with, what's his name? Ozzy Osbourne. I think it was Jack Osbourne, son of Ozzy Osbourne, who was addicted to OxyContin, and he made a comment like, "Oh yeah, I was hooked the second I did it. Well, I could speak from my experience that I was not hooked the second I did. It took me a long time to get hooked to it. Like, and the reason why I know that like it took a long time for me is because even upwards to a year after the first time I did it, if someone, was sick or something like that, I would give them the last bit that I had just because, I felt like they needed it a lot more than I did, so
What do you mean sick?
like they would get dope sick,
Oh,
and
I see. Wow.
I always I think the reason, and I also kind of like had like in my head like this weird sense of like, I'm better than them, kind of thing. Like, I was a college graduate. I was an award-winning graphic designer. I had a good job. I was smart, and so these kids are fucking idiots. Look at them.
Were they locals?
Yeah, locals.
Oh, I see.
Look
Yeah.
at them get fucking stupid about get all fucking strung out and shit.
Right.
And so I kind of it took me a long time to really develop like a for the playing around before the playing around became a problem.
Wow.
And I actually remember like when it became a problem, and that was when I was out and I was tired. I was just like, oh man, I feel achy. I'm kind of like yeah, need to get some sleep or whatever. I think I might have a cold or something like that. And then like a friend of mine kind of goes, oh man, I think you're dope sick. And I'm like, dope sick, and then you do a fucking
A bump.
a bump, do a line, and suddenly you feel like it's like almost kind of like this, like the way I would describe the high that I got from OxyContin, and I think it varies from person to person, was it kind of felt like being immersed into a hot bath, like a perfect hot bath, where you just feel everything just relaxing, and
Did you say that before, or did I? I think I've heard this before from somebody.
I think I've probably said
or
it
maybe
to you.
you've said it.
I probably have said it before.
Wow.
And
that sounds kind of nice right now.
yeah,
I want to get into a hot bath
it's-
myself, but
and like
yeah,
you watch like
wow.
everything
Oh.
like get pushed to the back, like all your problems just kind of get pushed to the back. And and
That's OxyContin.
that was the OxyContin that we were opioids that we were playing with. And it's even more noticeable when you're sick. I remember reading
You
something.
mean dope sick? I
when
guess
you're dope
whatever that
sick.
is. Yeah.
I
Okay.
remember. I think William S. Burroughs kind of made a comment about like, the best high in the world is, the high you get when you do a hit when you're sick,
Wow.
because it's like you feel your body, like it feels like you're falling apart, and you just feel everything snap back together again. And
That's wild. That
It's-
concept's wild.
it's
yeah.
it's kind of a frighteningly amazing feeling, so like like people will like often like say like, oh, it's you're trying to chase your first high. It's like, no, it's nothing like that. You might be trying to chase your first high of the day,
Of the day.
but
In
like
parentheses, of the day. Yeah.
but like
Wow.
after like but like I think that like the best high is when you're like sick and you're hurting and you feel like you're dying, and you fucking fix, and suddenly like you're ready to get to work, you're ready to fucking like go take a jog or fucking eat
Wow.
a meal. Or
Did you actually do those things?
well, the thing that
Or did you just kind of lay there in this nice warm warm body feeling that you're talking
you
about?
like lay down for you kind of like enjoy it for a couple of minutes, and then you're like, all right, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to do something.
So you're functional.
Yeah.
And you would do this you would go to work or whatever
of
it is?
course.
Did anyone know? Was this kind of like on the down low, like obviously, but did
Oh,
anyone, like, can they tell?
I don't think they could tell in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
but I mean that's like the issue with a functional addict, is that like you are doing a substance to keep you even, you know.
Wow. So now you're needing this to like be normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Wow.
now once you realize that if you stop doing it, you start feeling sick.
Oh,
You kind of
jeez.
start like,
That's the dependence part, I suppose. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. I was strung out for about 14 years.
Holy smokes.
So on and off 14 years. In between, somewhere in between that, like in the middle, I had a moment of like about a year and a half of being clean, which is when I got my art career started. You know,
How did you do that? How did you get clean? Like, is it intentional or was it just cold turkey type stuff?
both a little bit.
Yeah.
As things got incredibly crazier and crazier with my life in San Luis Obispo, I met a girl, and at the time I was kind of trying to clean myself up, and she, I guess she liked me, so she wanted to help, and I ended up like, kind of like not really wanting to quit, and so
And she was in San Luis Obispo.
she was in San Luis
I see.
Obispo, and so we would party, and so I'd introduce her to the drug, and she would get high, and we would get high, and soon I had and she was like she was like maybe about a couple months older than I was, and she worked in the town, as a masseuse, nothing shady, just
Right.
but like and she went to like school at the city college or something like that. She was from Chicago, and so I introduced her to the drug, and there was the thing that doesn't get kind of mentioned a lot, with substance abuse, people who use drugs, is the way it affects your libido, and it basically, I think one of the things that I loved about the drug was the fact that it just obliterated mine. Like, it wasn't even an issue anymore. I, didn't have any interest in being with anybody.
You had a powerful substitute, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it probably medically drains that part.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
sure,
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there is like the issue of when you're like weaning yourself off, your nerves are all jangled and you're sensitive, like especially down there, so you're like not be able to perform, you used to. And then when you're on it, you're so numbed out that you're not able to climax,
Right.
So that kind of really kind of made my relationship with her kind of difficult, but I to the point where I would actually kind of like, to get her off my back, like I would give her drugs.
Oh, wow.
Like, leave me. I can't deal with this right now,
Wow.
kind of thing. So
That's gnarly.
yeah, things get pretty fucking crazy,
Wow.
there. And then years after, I think maybe about a year of dating, things were going bad with her,
Oh, no.
and so just to make it, to sum it all up in the easiest way possible, like basically, she gets her hands on a syringe and gets high that way, and with a kind of I don't know, like for the entire time up to there, like I had was very anti IV drug use, anti, shit like that.
So
Because
you turned her on to
I
drugs,
turned her on to
guess?
the pills, and then she turned me on to IV drug use.
Wow.
You know.
How did she get ahead? I mean, is that ahead? Like, that just sounds worse to me.
She had an experience before meeting me,
I see.
where she had
Gotcha.
done it.
Okay.
And,
Wow.
And
And what's the difference ultimately? Like, if you use IV, is that just faster?
I mean, it's faster. It's harder. It's like the rush is much deeper, and
Oh, wow.
it's like especially like if you're doing something like cocaine. I like to say that like people who snort cocaine are wasting perfectly good cocaine. The only way people should be doing cocaine is by either smoking it or snorting it.
Wow.
Because the rush is completely different.
But what you mean injecting it? What about injecting it? Can
Yeah,
you inject
just
it?
slamming it,
Oh.
like injecting it or smoking it, like smoking crack.
Oh, okay.
But don't do cocaine, guys. It's bad.
It's also really expensive, isn't it? Or
I mean, like it can become expensive.
was Oxy expensive?
Well, the Oxy, like in the beginning, I was getting it for really cheap. Like,
I mean, you're just getting it from some like local kid whose parents had a prescription or something like that, or where's it coming from?
It's basically that, but a lot more complicated.
I mean, because this isn't from a drug lord in Panama or Colombia or something, right? Or it's not from Pablo Escobar, right? He's not dealing OxyContin. This is coming from a pharmaceutical company in America.
The amount of pills this guy was getting his hands on was insane.
Okay.
I don't think he was getting it from a fucking pharmacy. I think he was getting it somewhere else.
Okay. Interesting.
Because
I mean, the factory who's
like
making
big
it is
Ziploc bags filled with pills.
Wow.
Like an insane. I remember seeing him open a briefcase and he had like Ziploc bags this big, filled with like Vicodin, filled with OxyContin, and they don't prescribe those kind of numbers.
No. But that's interesting because that's an American. I guess that's where the lawsuit comes in. Is that as a produced in America drug, right?
Yeah.
Made in America, probably. Somehow it gets out to the drug dealers to sell to persons like
I still don't know how
that's
he
kind of
got
wild,
his drugs on.
Because the other ones you realize, it's coming in through some shitty submarine or in a trunk of a truck
or in a fucking a freight car,
right? But then this is different. This is coming out of probably a clean ass factory with, I mean, like clinical scientific factory that's really so boring. It's with the cameras everywhere.
People don't realize. Some people. It's also now known as that like OxyContin is also you could cook it in a spoon and put it in a syringe and inject it as well.
NES form, I suppose. But
the
whole point is just weird that it's not we can't classify it as
an illegal substance because it's not an illegal substance. It's fucking. I mean, it's illegal for people who do not have a prescription to possess.
But the whole thing is, it's made for a medical purpose that got out of control.
Yeah,
I mean, in America, right?
The most popular version of the pill is this 80 milligram pill, which is a little bluish green kind of pill. It says OC on one side, 80 on the other, but that's an 80 milligram pill. Basically you could cut that into 8 slices and fucking give it to a person who's never done it and get high 8 different times.
So wait,
like crazy high, like off your feet, fucking like maybe potentially puking your guts out high.
Wow, and this is for somebody. These are for people who supposedly have injuries or cancer or something.
The thing that
I sort of don't even know the actual
for who are going through not terminal, like something like consistent pain.
Wow.
Like back injuries.
Gotcha.
Maybe even like
just seems like it must be prescribed in such a small amount then.
Well, when your tolerance goes up, you just fucking get a stronger pill. They even made 160 milligram pills that which are these big like long kind of
Who can take that? How much? So how much would you do? For example,
I would probably go through 160 milligrams a day.
Oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. Because you're saying that's enough
in the beginning, but then
wow.
I think I would be. I mean, like I would have like 3 or 4 pill days. I would have 2 pill days.
You know, when I'm trying 260s,
2 like 80 milligram pills.
Sounds like a lot by your description.
Well, I mean, like I was saying, like you could cut into 8 pieces when you're like a novice, but like soon you're just doing quarter pills like in one sitting. And you're usually kind of fixing several times a day.
Wow. So let's say, I don't even want to say it, but let's say a user who gets clean goes back to it. Do they start over at the lowest?
They should if they fucking want to like not kill themselves.
I see. You can't just jump right back into a 160 milligram day type of thing.
Like if you decide to stop on Saturday and then decide to start again on Sunday,
you'll be fine. But I'm talking about like let's say you have a decade in between. Are you now like a lightweight? You're back to being a lightweight. Oh, so it starts over.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But like
Man, so is that what the lawsuit's about? Is basically that it's made in America, that you guys
The lawsuit, I think, is about the fact that the people who were promoting and selling the pill really pushed the drugs. They lied about its potency, and they created incentives for doctors to push it on their patients.
I see. Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, that's and then you feel like, oh man, they should. How are they still even in business? That's the bigger question.
well, I mean, it's not the only pill they produce, and I think
They should-
sometime
yeah.
in 2000 and I don't know the exact year. I know it happened when after I'd stopped doing OxyContin, but like they reformulated the pills so that it's not as easy to abuse.
I see.
Like
Not easy to abuse or
abuse, like
obtain. It seems like crazy that
it's
like I
even
said,
harder to obtain now. Like
it is. Okay.
like my I was talking to my dentist about it, about like prescription painkillers and getting like say I was just I wasn't asking for myself. I was just curious about like the Vicodin situation thing is because I remember like when I got my wisdom teeth pulled out, I was prescribed Vicodin.
Did you take that?
I took one and I hated it,
Uh-huh.
But I think, like the difference between doing like a Vicodin, when I was, 16 years old versus doing snorting a line of OxyContin when I was, freaking, 25, was that like, the thrill of doing this, nose drug, like emulating like the stuff that I had a youthful interest in, like people who used cocaine and stuff
Yeah.
like that, like kind of added to this mystique that I had in my head about what I was doing.
Wow.
Yeah, and also knowing that like I was doing the pharmaceutical equivalent of a heroin, knowing that like so many of these like beatnik artists and artists from like the 60s and 70s were
like the Burroughs and the
those guys, that I was living that life to a certain degree, and little did I know that I would actually be living that life to it, but like, when the pills, when I originally was getting them, they were like $20 for an 80 milligram pill, and I watched the prices go up to like $80 a pill.
Oh, so is that how much it costs now? Or
I
don't
think
know, or last time you've heard?
I mean, like but before they reformulated, I think it was about that price, about close to $60 a pill.
So that's kind of expensive.
Yeah, it was really expensive.
Yeah.
But and so like what I ended up doing was I ended up expanding my social circle, and and meeting fucking people in like Pismo Beach who dealt heroin.
Oh wow.
And shifted from using pharmaceutical opioids to doing street grade opioids because the prices were much cheaper.
I see.
And it kind of saved me from being sick. So
wow.
And
What's the what was the ultimate? Well, not ultimate, but what is the difference? I mean, is it a very different situation? Like what?
the general feelings were a little bit, kind of the same. It's a little, have you ever smelled what like heroin smells like?
I have no idea what heroin smells like.
Okay.
Maybe if I smelled it, I would be like, I smelled this before, but I don't know.
It smells like balsamic vinegar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, shit. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't like balsamic vinegar that much.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
these
like
Italian restaurants, man, you guys are just they.
it smells like a
I don't know.
florally kind of vinegar smell.
Wow, that's weird. I would have never thought that.
Yeah, like I remember, like before I even considered doing like IV drugs, I'd get my hands on some heroin here and there, and I would like would smoke it, and frickin' the smoke was so acrid because it's acid. You inhale. It's so hard to hold into your lungs because it's just like it feels like it's burning your lungs.
Whoa.
And frickin' now think about like fucking putting that in your veins.
Worse.
Oh
my god.
Yeah. Like I sometimes when I was like whenever I walk around downtown Los Angeles, say off of Broadway or Spring or like main streets, like, you could like just walk around, you could smell that like vinegary smell in the street corner.
I thought that was piss though.
Piss has a much less strong smell. Like I consider piss to have more of a bassy kind of,
We're
minerally
analyzing
smell.
analyzing piss smell
and
right now.
heroin has this really like acidic.
So
kind of
if
smell.
we're ever together and you smell it, point it out to me because I have no idea.
Yeah, of
I
course.
might be like, that's piss, bro. My piss, But yeah.
So,
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That was also in I guess coastal central California.
Yeah.
Is that a hub for this? Like, I mean, I would think that like
No.
Fresno is bad, and I would think Bakersfield would be bad.
Where I think it was kind of bad was King City. Have you ever heard of King City?
King City is where there are very active police. They have a very strong police force.
Yeah.
That's where everyone
'Cause
gets
that's
tickets.
that's the midpoint between apparently between LA and San Francisco.
But that's where everyone gets a speeding ticket.
Right.
They have very active police.
Yeah.
That's off. They're off the 101 though. Is that right?
Yeah, I think
Not off the
101.
5. It's the 101. Yeah.
So you get like people like bringing drugs up from Los Angeles,
Because it's like halfway, maybe.
yeah.
Wow.
That's what I think. I don't know. And like I had like friends, met like and of course I was still dating that girl, and like so.
Oh my gosh.
and,
That relationship must be a strange one to think back upon.
it's a sad one.
Yeah.
Because like on one hand, like I kind of led her down into this path, and the other hand, I mean, like like she liked to at the time. I mean, she liked to party, but it wasn't a problem,
Right.
I think that like drugs can be used recreationally, but once you cross a certain line, like there's just really no going back. And like I don't know, I don't know, I've over the 14 years I've been in like 3 rehabs, and I'm pretty familiar with like the entire fellowship and like AANA kind of like groups, and I can understand why some people kind of like have these very strict like no intoxicants, no smoking weed, no fucking this and that, attitudes toward drugs. But like, I don't think that it's for everyone. I don't like, when I stopped, I didn't, I didn't turn to to those groups. But I was also lucky because I had, my art career. I had, the one thing that kind of gave me a reason to live, by the time I was ready to stop, and I had been ready to stop for years. I
That sounds kind of funny right there.
But I just couldn't stop because I was in this consistent cycle. I was living in Los Angeles,
Right.
And
this was what year? 2007, 8, or no,
I stopped
earlier?
in 2010.
No, but I mean when did you move to LA?
2003.
Oh, okay. So you were here for a while.
Yeah.
And wait, art was rocking at that time in 2005, 6, 7.
Yeah.
I think I recall that art was selling really well then.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you were
yeah.
probably doing pretty well.
I was doing great.
Yeah? Okay.
I had like some very impressive financial years.
Wow.
And I blew it all. I could say like, this is like,
But you survived it, man.
Yeah,
That's kind of the most amazing, like, valuable part is the
the
stories you're telling are horrifying. Like hearing about injecting into your veins and all that kind of. Oh my gosh!
I had people fucking OD in my fucking bedroom, freaking like and like and I didn't even flinch at like my roommate and I throwing him in the back of our car, fucking with his girlfriend, with his very conscious girlfriend, not OD'd, and then tossing him out of the back of the trunk in a fucking hospital.
And you just left him outside?
Yeah, and just going, we have no idea who you are, and just fucking like boning out.
Oh my gosh!
Like it just puts you in a really fucking. I was just in a really weird fucking, head place. Like
Was your roommate okay?
Well, that wasn't my roommate and I would drag this kid who was OD'd in my fucking, you know.
Did you ever see the kid again?
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw the kid again.
Oh, okay.
You know, but like, you know, like we were able to get him pretty quickly to a hospital as soon as he turned blue, and he did turn blue.
Well, people really turn blue.
Yeah, he turned
Holy
blue.
shit!
Like, you know.
Wow.
Actually, like, I mean, like I could get into, there's a lot of I'm kind of glossing over some details about like where I was in my head because it, you know.
That's a crazy story right there, though. Is the fact that you're like, fuck this. I'm dumping this guy off here.
I was pissed too because I was trying to fucking like find, you know, I was trying to fix, you know, like, you know, the more you do this kind of shit, your veins kind of go bad. So, you know,
but
like,
we have a lot of veins in our body. I always wondered what the problem was with that.
Yeah, it's just, you know, the thing about like, you know, trying to do this shit yourself is that like, yeah, you could get the vein in, but sometimes you punch right through the vein.
Oh, the needle, yeah.
You know, and
so what happens if you miss?
You know, then, you know,
you're injecting into your muscle or something.
First, yeah, you can do that. It's called muscling. You know,
there's a name for that. I thought, okay,
yeah,
and that works too.
Yeah, that works, but it also you have a very high chance of getting abscesses. You know, there's also like another one called skin popping, where you just kind of like inject like underneath the, you know,
that sounds awful. Okay,
you know,
that sounds awful.
You know, like, but ideally you want to get into a vein.
Yeah,
it takes, you know, once you get into a vein, it usually takes a couple seconds to.
No, because your heart is pumping blood all the time,
right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unless who is it who has a no pulse? It's just automatic flow. You know, is it like Dick Cheney or something, or one of those somebody with an artificial heart?
Oh.
No, it's an artificial heart, so it just pumps. It just keeps going. It's like a machine so there's no, you know, there's no slow and up and down. It's just one speed, and everything's just flowing.
Dick Cheney.
I think it's a Dick Cheney.
Bionic
I'm not sure,
VP.
but no, but the whole thing is, yeah. No, the blood is flowing through your body like at all times, right? If you're alive, so like that's got to logically be the way to.
Right. Yeah.
It's a conductor, you know.
You know, I usually, like, if you don't get into the vein, if you get in the muscle, you get abscesses.
Right.
And like I've had crazy fucking abscesses, you know.
Oh wow.
Like you could still, like, you know, when I'm like, you know, I'm lucky in that like a lot of the marks on my arms are kind of gone, but like, you know, if you take a good look, you could still see a lot of like the scar tissue and stuff like that, and you see these like holes in my fucking, you know, arms where, like, I would remember like it'd be all puffed up, and I'd like squeeze it, and just like black and burgundy colored fucking just crap, and some like pus would just squirt out of my arm.
Wow.
Like there's still splatters on the ceiling at my mom's place.
Oh, there are?
Yeah.
Oh.
And on
your
the
parents,
wall,
do they know what that is?
they have an idea. You know, my
they're
dad,
not like saying, "Oh, Luke, you're painting."
No.
Shit.
No. I mean, like, it's not like seriously noticeable, but like I can if you came by my mom's bedroom, my old room at my mom's place, I could like show you, like, oh yeah, there's blood splatter all on the fucking ceiling.
Oh, that is just,
you know.
Oh, that's.
I mean, this kind of goes back into now, like, after I was living in Los Angeles and doing the kind of work that I was doing. You know, a lot of my artwork at the time was pretty dark and pretty bloody.
Sure.
You know, and I think.
Well, is this still like going back to the robot with the record broken? Is that still like that?
I was sober at that time.
Really? What year was that?
I thought
that
was 2004.
Okay.
You know, and then, like, you know, I think I really relapsed soon after that.
Okay.
You know, I was sober for about a year and a half.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
You know, long enough to kind of get my foot down, put my foot down, and find a voice and, you know, do it and work with it. Now, I think that, like, you know, one of the, like, you know, like my work started getting really dark and heavy and kind of bloody, and I associate a lot of that with the fact that, like, you know, I saw my own blood several times a day, you know, when I you know, was using and, you know, getting high. And so though I didn't really think of it at the time, I think it's easy for me to make the association that, like, the blood is kind of a metaphor for my addiction issues,
Mm-hmm.
my self-destructive tendencies and stuff like that. I think that and which is probably the reason why I don't really find myself feeling inclined to paint, a lot of bloody bears and stuff like that. It's because I'm not there anymore.
I see.
I'm trying to find other way. It kind of feels like a crutch to
Mm-hmm.
like knowing that oh, people like the bloody bears, but
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm just not there in my head
You've
anymore.
evolved, you've evolved and survived and evolved. So
Right.
yeah,
But I think that
man,
you know,
that just sounds like a tough way to live. I don't know.
It is.
Like, it sounds exhausting. Like,
Oh.
thinking about it, I'm just like, man, this is so exhausting thinking
Oh.
about the amount. I mean, this is daily. That's the whole
Daily.
thing.
daily you have to
You
have
know?
a dealer.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, you partied, smoked pot like a week ago. Hey, that's cool. Oh, had a good time. This is like something darker and daily.
yeah, daily.
You know?
Daily.
And if you don't have it, you feel sick.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
I by the time I left San Luis Obispo, I'd basically worn out my welcome in every way. My roommates at the time became drug addicts. My ex-girlfriend now had left, fled to Chicago, back to Chicago.
Wow.
You know,
Is she okay now, or do you know?
I think she's doing okay.
Okay.
I think she had a kid and lives
Oh.
in Pittsburgh as working for a massage, yoga studio doing massage stuff.
Well,
so,
she survived too then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she did. But I think that yeah. So I worn out my welcome in every fucking way possible
Man.
in San Luis Obispo, and I retreated to Los Angeles. And the reason why I was able to get sober in Los Angeles was because I didn't know how to fucking score drugs in Los Angeles.
Oh wow.
Once you know how to do it in a small town, that's just kind of the routine you develop,
Right.
And I moving to Los Angeles was a break in my routine. And even in the beginning, I would I would take one day out of the week and make a trek to San Luis Obispo,
Oh wow.
to fucking score a little bit, just to kind of take the edge off of my my week or something
Right.
like that, and the I ended up doing Cannibal Flower Art shows and coming out to the West Side and
Sure.
checking out Giant Robot.
Sure, where
you
I was
know.
scared of you. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit scared, to be dead honest. But were there moments while you're doing all this where you're what? Not during when you were doing this. Were there times when you're just totally moments of clarity where you're like, I shouldn't be doing this, or was that never even a factor? Or did you ever think that?
I knew I shouldn't be doing this the entire time,
I see.
but I, was, even when you're sober, you're when you're first kind of trying to shake it off, you go through very dramatic mood swings. You feel first, I mean, once you get over the 3 to 4 days worth of dope sickness, which is what usually happens, it takes
Those days must be really bad.
those are rough.
I've only seen it in movies, so I don't know. You know?
Yeah, you get some you essentially go through a insane anxiety feelings. So that what from my understand, the vomiting that you feel, when you see dope addicts vomiting, that's basically kind of you're so tense and
Oh,
anxious
wow.
that your body just clenches up your stomach and forces everything out.
Yeah.
You can't relax, you can't sleep. You're going through, you're depressed. If you're lucky, you're getting 2 hours of
Well,
sleep.
isn't there medicine for that? I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Methadone? Is that what it is?
There is methadone.
Methadone?
Yes. Methadone is
did that work for you, or did
yes,
you do that?
I did. I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
do that.
Okay.
It
It just that sounds like, to me, every time I hear that, I'm like, that sounds awful, but it's actually a good thing. I don't even know what methadone really does.
Methadone is another opioid,
Yeah.
and it's a maintenance program thing.
I see.
Where they have a doctor at the
Yeah.
the place where you get it. They do annual checkups on you, and what it has a chemical in there that is a dopamine blocker. so that when you are, you know, on the medication, if you do get your hands on like some heroin or something like that, you can't get really high off of it. You know, so and
Interesting. Wow.
you know,
I didn't know it did that.
yeah, so it's designed to discourage people from
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
you know,
Okay.
doing that stuff.
This whole thing reminds me of like that drugstore cowboy movie for some reason.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah, I
that-
watched that movie several times.
yeah.
I know.
Like some things that I'm hearing, I'm like, God, that sort of reminds me of that. So,
Yeah, I used to kind of fancy myself like when I was looking at PDRs and stuff like the physician's desk references, I would
yeah.
you know think of that movie.
Wow.
You know, and
Yeah.
like I never like you know went so far as to like bust into a pharmacy or anything
Sure.
like that. But like when it like because it was a small circle of people that were like you know getting these pharmaceutical narcotics, you know, people would come up with like you know weird pill bottles and you know, we would look them up and see whether or not they're worth anything,
Right.
you know, or not. But yeah, but L.A., you know, freaking, it actually, you know, it's a lot. You know, once you kind of figure it out, like in L.A., like you know where the drugs are and stuff like that, it's a whole lot easier out here.
Where are they?
Well, I was getting fucking dirt dope, like you know, shit dope, because of the fact that like, you know, I was going downtown to look for it. To
So that
sniff it
means
out.
it's cut up with all kinds of stuff or
Right,
something.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You like the dealers in downtown used to be on this weird schedule. Like there was this fucking like if I remember like years ago, fucking you'd be on the corner of fucking Broadway and 6th or Spring and 6th and fucking at like 5 a.m. These fucking you'd see these junkies just piled up on the fucking street waiting for a fucking dealer to fucking show up, and they'd always store their shit in their mouths. Like, you know, they would pack them up in water balloons, roll them up into little balls, like, you know, and then fucking, you know, stuff like their mouths full of these. You give them a certain amount of money and they would spit the balloons out, and you're supposed to put those balloons in your fucking mouth.
Gosh.
You know, I would always fake it, like, because I don't
Oh.
know what's going on with this guy's mouth.
Right. Okay. So you had some sanity left at least. Yeah. You're like, okay.
Well, I
That
mean,
just
like,
sounds disgusting.
I've seen fucking people fucking sharing needles on the streets
Right.
of
Oh
fucking
my
Los
God.
Angeles and stuff like that. I got propositioned by like this fucking woman who was missing all her front teeth, and you know, like she was kind of, she knew the streets better than I did, so I kind of turned to her for help, and you know, she wanted to, you know, party, and I was like, you know, like without my clothes on, I guess, and I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, this doesn't work down now, you know, because I'm getting so
you were
high.
naked with this lady?
No, she wanted to fucking have sex, and I was just like, yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Wow.
You know, it was there, and like,
And she had no teeth?
yeah, she was like literally like a toothless crack.
Oh, shoot. So you're hanging out with people that look like that? little
I
bit?
wasn't hanging out with them, but
Okay.
I was
Wow.
turning to them to help me navigate the streets
Well, I
because
see.
like-
That's not okay. So you were in the dirtiest part of LA.
yeah.
But when did things get better? Like when did like I'm sure they had to get you didn't just stay there, right?
Well, no, I mean like I got introduced to this place
Because that sounds like a place that you wouldn't lose your money. Like you couldn't.
Oh,
spend that
you
much money.
can. Well, yeah. I mean, like you could lose your money, but you won't lose a lot of money
Right.
because you know.
Yeah.
But I got introduced to this place that was called the Store. Or at least I called it the Store, and it was this store that was on the corner of Broadway and 3rd, right across from Grand Central Market. And it used to be a store that sold T-shirts and like stickers and stuff like that. And the people who ran it also were using it as a front to fucking sell their fucking dope.
Holy smokes! And that's where they made their money, maybe.
Yeah,
More money.
like as long as the store was open and one of the two people were there, you could fucking get your dope. You
right.
know,
And was that like better quality then at that point?
Well, it was better than the shit that the gangbangers were fucking selling.
I'd be there buying stickers. Sorry. I'll be like, yeah, I want that sticker of a butterfly.
I want that exploited sticker.
Yeah. Oh,
you
they
know?
had punk rock stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I want.
Okay.
Oh, and then they also had like soccer fucking team, like Mexican soccer team stickers.
Oh my God. Okay.
You know? But then yeah, basically but then they kind of start offering me the quote unquote clean dope.
Wow.
And so.
Harsh.
Yeah. And then like the store gets busted.
Oh, they got busted.
Yeah, got busted.
Oh, wow.
And soon she was doing home deliveries.
The same person?
Yeah.
So their getting busted didn't do shit for their.
No.
Okay,
Didn't do
they weren't
any-
like, we better get out of this business.
No.
They just went right back into it.
They just went back into it and
Holy
tried to play
smokes.
it a lot smarter.
Okay, so they
and
did home delivery?
deliveries. And
Okay, so this is like Uber Eats.
Yes.
Okay.
It was like
Uber Eats for drugs.
Uber Eats for drugs.
Wow.
And then like
They didn't have an app though. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, soon. I mean, like I remember after like I would cleaned up, fucking what was that like dark web fucking site that like eventually got busted.
Oh, I have no
I
idea.
forgot what it was called, but you could be able to get like heroin and fucking
Did you use that?
cocaine. No.
Oh, okay.
No, I've never owned a Bitcoin in my life.
Oh, okay.
Because you had to use Bitcoin to
Sure.
use that. But I mean, like, just to wrap it all up, fucking, and bring it back into the art career. Like, I felt like, there's all these like stereotypes and ideas of like the artist who fucking like the Basquiat's and fucking
Yeah.
artists getting fucking like, high and coming up with brilliant ideas, and this and that. And, that it didn't work that way for me at all.
That's some bullshit, huh?
I mean, maybe it worked for them. It worked that way for them, but didn't work for me, because what I ended up doing was I ended up like kind of like going, okay, I need this much money a day, and for me to come up with that, I need to fucking sell. So what,
Sounds like might have been a lot of money.
yeah.
And this was at galleries and stuff, like
Yeah,
selling your work
galleries and doing print releases and stuff like that.
Wow.
And I kind of like, I figured like, okay, this is the kind of work that's selling for me, so I'll focus on that. And I got so wound up around this formula that I worked around that like I felt like, I still feel my work is stale and boring.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like I'm still aching to find a way to change it.
Yeah, but that's the real artist in you. I'm not sure if those, you know what I'm saying? That's the real artist in you today.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a different reason why it feels, you know what I mean? It feels that way.
Well,
If it feels stale, it's like that's because you're searching for, you're pushing forward. Maybe before it was for a different reason.
well, like I wasn't pushing forward when I
Yeah.
was using. I was
Sure.
I needed
You were trying to make money,
and so and like every time I would continue painting, I was just be like, oh my god, why this is so fucking like ugh. I wish I wonder what it would be like if I stopped using. How much would my work evolve? How
Right.
much would my work change? I was, so genuinely curious about that. It was my motivation to quit. It was my motivation to stop. And soon, basically on October 24th, 2010, my dealer gets busted. I'm frantically calling her because I'm out of dope. I called.
It's a woman?
Yeah, it's a woman.
Okay. Wow.
I called her probably 8 times.
And is a dealer like she is? Did she do any of the drugs
Nope.
herself? Ah, okay.
No,
She's a business person.
Real business person.
Wow.
And
she got busted.
she got busted.
Like bad, like federal prison busted.
No, they're probably not federal.
Okay.
But she got, this is the 3rd time I know she got busted.
She went away then.
So she went away.
Oh wow.
But like I remember finally got through to someone, and like they talked to me, and like in my head is screaming to me like, that's a fucking cop. You're talking to a fucking cop.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, and we make arrangements to meet.
Wow.
And like I fucking go out to the corner of fucking, I think it's Highland and Gower,
Uh-huh.
where the Starbucks is, and fucking I see him, and my head's still screaming at me, this is a fucking cop. What the fuck are you doing? I fucking hand, my money to him. He hands me a fucking bag full of balloons, and as soon as I fucking turn around, a fucking cop car comes screaming up right next to me, throws me against a fucking car, handcuffs me. And I was just like,
Wow.
What the fuck, man? Like, I knew this was a fucking trap. I knew this was fucking bad news. But the junkie in me just didn't want to give up,
Mhm.
you know?
Wow.
So fucking, yeah, I, spent a night in the Glass House, which is the holding cell for LAPD in downtown Los Angeles. And, I had been arrested several times before that, in San Luis Obispo County and Fresno County. I would get picked up on fucking probation violations and stuff like that, but this was the first time I got picked up in Los Angeles, and like LA is now my home. Like
Right.
I have no plans on leaving Los Angeles anytime soon.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just kind of like, and from my experience, like if you get busted for drugs in a city and you continue to use, you're just going to get picked up again
Sure.
and again and again and again. And
It's just it's the percentages. It's just going to happen.
yeah, it's going to happen. You're on their fucking radar.
Your luck is going to run out eventually, right?
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
like, I just, was like, this is it. All right. My dealer, the only dealer that I went to was gone.
The woman. Yeah. But
Yeah.
how did you find this person?
She was from the store.
No. The police officer, or that the one that became a policeman. Like, how did you find that person?
Oh, when she got busted,
Yeah.
the narcs or whatever, the cops
Just kind of went through
had
their-
her
Oh,
phone,
and just made phone calls.
and I was calling her like nonstop, trying to get a hold of her.
Oh, shit.
And when they answered, I was like, "This is
I see.
this is a fucking cop on the other line,
Right.
On the other end."
You just knew.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking knew it.
Right.
And
Okay, I see.
and yeah, so like, I was asking where she was, and she's like, oh, she had to go back to Mexico because her father's sick, or blah blah blah, this and that, and I'm like, that's fucking bullshit.
Oh wow.
I know, like, because like,
Yeah.
I became friends with her too, and like we'd kind of talk a little bit, and she was like fucking doing stuff for like other like B-list celebrity types,
Right.
like, so I don't want to mention any
Yeah.
names, but like,
So you're partying with glamorous people.
no, I was partying by myself.
Okay.
I think at the time, like fucking,
But these kind of drugs you're doing, they're not social, right?
no, they
Yeah.
are definitely not social.
They're antisocial, right?
Yeah. Like I fucking like,
Gotcha.
I would like, be in my room fucking all day, all night long, step outside. At the time I feel so bad for my parents because, they like, put up with me. They didn't want to see me die,
Right.
so
They still support you, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I fucking like, I'd use in their fucking house, and fucking, and I think they were just kind of praying that I would fucking eventually pull out of it. And fortunately it happened,
Yeah.
but like, so, yeah, I got into a methadone program and fucking,
And the rehab things, you said you went to 3.
I went to 3 rehabs while I was in Los
Did
Angeles.
those help?
Yeah, a little bit,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, are those just at some like random like like a little like office or something? Or
the
how does
first
those work?
one, I got some help from a friend of mine who was a recovering addict, and he like after explaining to him that I had done some album artwork before for another band. This is before the Fall Out Boy thing. He was able to hook me up with a group called the Musicians Assistance Program, MAP, and they help musicians who are going through some shit, or people who worked for the music industry. And so they put me up in a really nice fucking like, rehab in like the Valley.
So were there like famous musicians in there? I know you can't name
At the
names,
time
but-
there wasn't any
Okay.
famous musicians, but like there was a guy who was like, the engineer for Alice in Chains and, and all the stuff like that. And like Red Hot Chili Peppers had donated a gigantic fucking TV to the place,
Wow.
and stuff. So that was kind of interesting. And then there was a lot of kids who obviously came from money who were, put up there. So
Wow.
that was able, they were able to kind of help me keep my nose clean for a month, and then I fucking fell apart. Like the success rate for fucking rehabs is supposedly only like 10%.
Very little. Yeah.
Yeah, very little. But the one thing you can get from a rehab is you can see that it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people who work at rehabs are recovering addicts.
I see. Yeah.
And it gets you familiar with like the different resources that you have. Like the free resources, like the groups, the talking groups. Helping you.
Did you do that a lot?
I did when I was there.
Mm-hmm. But then it doesn't continue.
I just like their thing at fucking the fellowship is just kind of like there's a really strong religious overtone.
Oh wow.
To it, like giving yourself up to a higher power,
right? Yeah, yeah,
and stuff. And
that's same as AA, I believe, right? All those have
exactly.
Yeah, and I'm like, what if you're like
an atheist?
Yeah, or you don't believe in any of that, atheist or Buddhist or something too, because it's not.
Well,
they're talking about like they're talking about white Jesus, right?
Well, no, not necessarily. Like my first sponsor, who's the guy who helped me like get arranged, for this, with this program. He would kind of try and like explain it to me and help me like rationalize it through a really abstract way. Like, is there a power that is larger than you, like say gravity? Mm-hmm. Or whatever, and I mean, like, rather than like a consciousness thing,
mm-hmm.
But kind of realizing that you're not in control of everything.
I see. That's the point they want to make, right?
Right.
I see. They break you down to the point where you're like,
you're
out of control, bro.
Right.
Yeah, got you.
And like the thing is that I knew I was fucking out of control the entire fucking time.
Sure.
It wasn't some like deep like, oh my God, kind of fucking moment. I'm just like, yeah, I'm fucking up right now, man. Like, I can't fucking stop, and I don't want to stop kind of thing,
That's scary. That just sounds, I mean, that is, but it's true, right? And ultimately that it was an addiction, something that you couldn't control,
Right.
It's out of control.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, how can any fucking rational human being fucking like, not realize that they're going fucking out of control right now when they're going out of control?
Right.
I mean, like, only a fucking idiot will fucking lie to themselves. Like, yeah, I can fucking stop when I want to, when you can't fucking stop when you want to.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe if, you're not that, deep into the fucking shit, but you're a lot deeper than you think you are, that could be something fucking, to realize. But fucking I had holes all over my fucking arms and legs, and I mean, like, it's nothing healthy about what I was fucking doing. And I fucking, like I remember fucking like, I was at some fucking, kind of, there was this one fucking hipster fucking spot, and they did a Michael Lau show off of Melrose.
Oh yeah. Wow, God, I feel like that was there for just a short bit.
Yeah.
That art show.
Yeah.
What was that?
It
just seemed like that's one of those things where there are art shows sometimes that pop up like that where I'm like, God, this person's really wealthy.
Yep.
Because they're spending a lot of money on something that might not make any money.
Right.
And then all of a sudden gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I was attending that fucking, I went out to that event. And like fucking, they had a bus that was going to like some after party or something like that. And I got on the bus and I saw like, and Patrick was talking to Michael Lau and Patrick Lamb from Monkey King.
Sure.
And he introduces me, and Michael Lau says something to Patrick in Cantonese. And I was like, what did he say? And he's like, he says, oh, you're like the most pale person he's ever seen in his entire life. And that's just like, like I was just so unhealthy. Like by the end of it all,
I remember, you know what? Thinking back, hate to say, I remember you being really pale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really pale.
Yeah.
Sweaty. Like when I burped, like the smell that came out of me was rotten. Like it was, I literally felt like I was falling apart.
Right.
Like, my time was not long, if I kept that up. So, You know, I
Oh,
got
Michael Lau said that.
yeah, you know, like the most pale fucking guy. You know,
Whoa.
I remember like when I was in fucking San Diego Comic Con and I'd be doing signings and stuff like that. Like, you know, they would, Patrick would be taking photos and would review all the photos by the end of the day, and like it's just like fucking like there's scars all over my fucking hands. You know.
Is he photoshopping him out? Like,
No, he
ding,
was like,
ding,
okay,
ding, ding.
well, like, no, not this one, not that one, not this one. Okay, maybe this one.
I see.
You know, it was a real mess. You know, and I don't know. I'm actually honestly surprised. Like I thought that like when I left it behind, that means that like, you know, I felt like I was the last one in the party.
Mhm.
You know, like I was truly surprised to see like how, you know, like the opioid problem in the United States, you know, got so much worse.
Oh, it
you
just
know?
kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's just crazy though. I'm like still I don't it's hard to understand how do these American pharmaceutical companies like how are all these drugs getting into the wrong hands? It's just bizarre.
that problem is kind of past, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Okay, good.
You know,
At least
the
they
new
took care of
problem
that.
is the fentanyl.
Uh-huh. And
It's
what is that?
fentanyl is okay. You know, like OxyContin is measured in the milligram.
Wait, fentanyl's in the news too.
Yeah.
Right?
Fentanyl is an opioid kind of
yeah.
painkiller.
I figured that part out.
Yeah,
But is that
but-
also made by that same company?
No.
Okay.
Fentanyl is actually being okay. Like
There's a there's a lawsuit with fentanyl as well?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
They're just trying to get
I've been hearing
bust it out.
I've been hearing the news at the same time.
Well, here's the thing. OxyContin is measured by the milligram. Fentanyl is measured by the microgram. It's that potent,
Wow.
you know.
So
like
it's even stronger.
it's super strong.
Scary.
It's,
Oh my gosh.
super strong.
Wow.
Like, you know, the way, you know, my first introduction to fentanyl was with fentanyl patches.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh,
where,
yeah,
you
the
know,
patches.
osmosis.
Gotcha.
You know, you put a patch and you just through osmosis would like absorb fentanyl.
Yeah. Well.
You know, it's that fucking potent. Like, you know, and then they also made fentanyl lollipops. You know, so there's have a tiny bit of fucking fentanyl in this fucking candy.
Who made this?
The pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, so
But these aren't that. But those aren't the problems. The problem is that like fentanyl is being brought in from China,
I see.
or the chemical components to make fentanyl are being brought into China. The cartels and are fucking getting their hands on it, mixing it in with the heroin, in order to give their heroin a bit of a kick.
Wow.
You know, and I think they're also, some people are kind of pressing the fentanyl into mixing it with binders and creating pills of it, and letting, you know, having people who maybe were strung out on OxyContin before, you know,
So now they're on to
in
fentanyl.
fentanyl.
Wow.
You know.
And so that's another continuing in the lineage of
Right. Now, the
Drugs,
problem
yeah.
with fentanyl
Yeah.
is because the potency is so fucking intense and so high with such tiny, you know, fucking doses. You can like fucking come up with a brick like this big, which is not a lot of fucking shit, and fucking service, you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands
Wow.
of people with that fucking same thing. Meanwhile, like a brick like this of fucking, you know, a brick of fucking heroin would be fucking, you know, it wouldn't go that, it would not have the same mileage,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's easy to fucking hide bricks,
Yeah.
you know, and, you know, in storage containers and shit like that, you know.
Wow.
So,
So it just all it does is continue with a different flavor, different,
but the problem
Mm-hmm.
is that like the opioid companies had created addicts,
Mhm.
people who had a taste for, you know,
Yeah.
the painkillers, the opioid painkillers. You know, once you've had that taste and you still haven't done anything to fucking quell your fucking appetite for it, you know, you're very susceptible to
Oh.
to fentanyl.
So would you say that there's not much progress in America in terms of drugs? Is just getting worse, you think, versus getting better?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, because
I don't know how to measure that at all, but
well,
Yeah.
here's I mean here's one thing that like, you know, I think we should, I want to kind of like, you know, leave it with, you know, and that is that like, you know, the only person who could help an addict is the addict themselves.
Sure.
You know, like I've tried so many times to fucking stop, you know, using. The only reason why I was able to stop was because of a perfect storm of fucking situations. You know, my own desire to see my full potential as a sober human being, my dealer getting busted and put away for a long enough time so that like she never reached out back to me, but like, you know, if she did, and it was like just a couple days after she got like, no, I got busted, I probably would have fallen right back in, you know, and having a family who were ready to, you know, help me,
Right.
you know, help me fucking, you know, like kind of figure my shit out, be patient with me, and, you know, like help me, like, you know, when I was ready to ask for it. And, you know, I think that was the reason why I was able to fucking walk away from all of that, you know,
Can you do it without your family, you think? Or was that just like,
well, I mean, like that's
know?
the reason why I never felt like the need to go through like an organization like NA or A, you know.
because you had people.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did have people.
Yeah.
You know,
Gotcha.
another thing is that like, you know, when you think about like, you know, say like the art scene in Los Angeles, there's not a lot of people out here that in our immediate circle that had those kind of habits.
That I know of.
Right.
I don't. There might be others. I don't even.
I mean,
know.
I know I knew of a couple, but
Sure.
like, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Why is that though? Like, do you think? I mean, I don't know. There's certain, you know, like musicians. It's like it seems like there's a lot of drugs in musicians. But do you think? I mean, do you think that's motivated by people who are just in LA more motivated to have a career and move forward, and drugs is just like not even part of it? You know,
Maybe.
I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like I just know like modeling for models. I happen to know like one or two, right? In the 80s, partying. I mean, it's cocaine, it's drugs, it's all the stuff. Now, today, the models today, oh, it's workout, sleep early. It's all the stuff that it's business, you know?
Right.
So it's like, no, there's no drugs. There's no time for that because that's actually bad for your career, right?
Right.
So it's like 80s party time. Everyone partied. That's what I heard.
Right.
You know? And then now it's sort of like, you know, like maybe athletes to some extent. Some are going to do drugs, but a lot of them are just like, no, I'm going to make $1 billion. I'm going to fucking not party.
I think
You
that,
know, I'm not. I wonder if that's kind of the you know, new education of art is just
right.
let's just work really hard and
Sure.
turn this into a career. This isn't, you know, this
Yeah.
isn't glam. This is business. So
That might be some of it. I
Maybe.
mean, like, you know, a lot of
I don't know.
the artists.
That's just what I kind of peripherally see. I don't see anyone doing drugs.
how many artists out there are that you know of are making money solely on their art career? Like the percentage of artists that you know. It's a pretty small percentage, I'm going to assume.
But I mean, just on art, I mean, they might mix illustration. None of them are working like at a hamburger joint and then doing art, right?
Well,
The
I
ones
mean,
I'm
like
talking about,
even like working in an art office or something like that. Or
I feel like there's a certain amount. I mean,
right.
yeah,
I would assume,
there's a handful, but I feel like maybe, yeah, I feel like there's an amount.
yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, like, you know,
Yeah.
I think that
They're
like,
living a dream or the dream or just the beginning of their dream, right?
Right. And
Yeah, yeah.
because they're balancing a full-time, you know, work week with it, or even a part-time work week,
Yeah.
you know, with, you know, their pursuit of their own, you know, art careers, they just don't have the time to fucking do these things.
Yeah.
You know, also maybe like, you know, they like, you know, like when I fucking relapsed in fucking like Los Angeles, it wasn't because I was curious. It's because I already was there,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah. That's
No.
like, that's a tough one to, it just depends on the person and what they're, you know, what they did in the past, right?
Right.
Yeah.
you know, I mean, like, and what, you know, and I guess another question that could be asked is like, were there any benefits to, did I receive any benefits to that lifestyle? You know, and I think that, like, you know, the benefit that I received was I saw how low I can go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I saw, you know, my near bottom, I
Mhm.
guess, you know. And I think, you know, that sight or that, you know, that vision, that experience is what kind of, you know, gives me fuel to create the kind of work that I do,
Yeah.
you know.
Because,
So
I mean, other people's rock bottom is like when they got mad through their cell phone, right? You know?
and my fucking rock bottom was when I was squirting out tablespoon after tablespoon of fucking pus out of my fucking arm,
Wow.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Was that the rock bottom, or was the rock bottom the police undercover police incident?
I don't know if I would call that a rock
Yeah.
bottom,
Okay.
you know.
It just sounded like that was the rock bottom the way you described it, but you know, I don't
No,
know.
no. I mean, like,
The squirting pus stuff sounds pretty bad too, and squirting blood and hitting a ceiling sounds also
yeah,
very bad.
It was bad, you know.
Yeah, I didn't even know that's
you know.
humanly possible, but
No,
okay.
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you know, it one of these days when you're in Monterey Park, I'll show it
Nah,
to
that's
you.
cool. I don't need this. You know what? I'll just give me the paint. I'll paint it over for you. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, I mean, like, you know, some people will, you know, fucking. It sounds kind of unbelievable, but like, you know, I'm doing my best to not exaggerate any
The
of these.
body can
fucking
do weird shit that we don't understand.
Yes.
Right. So I wouldn't doubt it, but it just sounds gnarly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, and, you know, do I still think about getting high? Of course I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I definitely, when I'm like feeling like not happy with myself,
Uh-huh.
I think about it all the time.
So what do you say to yourself at that moment?
I have no idea where to go to get this. So just fucking take a nap or fucking,
Oh, really?
you know.
So it's not like that sounds like the wrong way to think of it.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah, like, you know, I would think you would say something like, "But you're not going to do it," and you don't, you know, I would think you'd say something like that, like more
Yeah.
so than, "But I don't know where to go."
I don't know where to go,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna fucking chill. I mean,
Ugh.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
you know.
Do you think that's enough? Like, is that good enough to keep thinking that way versus
Well, you know, part of
being
it
able
is
to say, "Fuck, no, I'm not going to do that."
I know I've become, you know, intimately familiar with my cycle, like what happens when I use, and how I create like an unstoppable cycle of
Sure.
self-destruction, you know. And like, you know, it basically goes, I score some dope, I use 2/3 to half or 2/3 of it, I save half of that last bit for when I wake up in the morning.
Wow.
I wake up in the morning, I fucking use that last bit of it, and then fucking throughout the rest of the day, I'm wondering, when am I going to get some more?
Right.
And
Wow.
so then I fucking go back out, I get some more, I use 2/3 of it, save a little bit of it for the morning, and fucking go to sleep, wake up, do the rest of it, and then wonder when I want to get some more. It just keeps going and
Yeah.
going and going and going and going. And so I kind of, and I realize, like, you know, like, I cannot stop myself when I start, you know. So, you know, it's better that I don't fucking go there at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, for me to say, like, yeah, I don't fucking think about it at all, I'm not even on my mind, is a fucking lie,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, and, you know, I think that, like, you know, when, you know, going through experiences like that kind of helped me realize a lot of hard truths about myself, and just to be fucking blunt about it, you know. So,
Well, sir, I think you're better with not being on anything.
well, thank you.
You
Eric.
know,
I mean,
think you're
I
better
definitely
off.
could not do this
You're-
podcast, you know, without, you know, if I had a, you know, if I was, you know, nodding out and fucking drooling all over myself.
Speaking of which, so you know, there are things in my life where I didn't. There was a person when I worked. I was 18, maybe. I worked at a photo lab.
Yeah.
There was a guy who worked there sometimes, and he would nod out all the time. And I thought he was tired. I found out he was on drugs the whole time. I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
really a scary thing where I was just like, oh, he's just tired. And he'd just fall asleep, like sitting on a chair. I'd be like, you know, like, oh, he crashed out. Well,
Okay. Well, he had a
But-
long day, I guess.
and he would do that all the time. And then one day I remember he was at the lab to do something, just his own personal work. And his mother came to bring him food. And then I remember he wasn't there. Like he had shown up and then he left like right away. Like he didn't stay and do his stuff. And the mom, she goes, "Oh yeah, I came to bring the stuff for so and so." And I was like, "Yeah, well, he left." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, he came here, but then like left like 2 minutes later. He just walked out the door." And the mom was just freaked out, because,
Yeah.
but I didn't know. I was just like, yeah, he just left. Maybe he went to go play video games, Like I didn't
Right,
know. I was
right.
kind of like really naive. And the mom though, yeah. I remember her worry like on her face. And I just remember that clear as day. I was like, oh my gosh. Like she's freaked out. But I'm like, no, he's okay.
Yeah.
He's out playing,
He's
he's out
doing
having a
his
good time. He
thing.
maybe went to the beach. I don't know. But I didn't realize, the mom probably knew what was up,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I could just see how it affects others, Very scary.
Yeah, no, I've never like when I was in my first rehab, my parents both came to do like a group meeting
Oh, wow.
with me, and I've never heard my mom like cry and freak
Mm-hmm.
out like that before. It's a sound. It's a sound that like in a moment that still resonates deep inside me.
And
Like
these are all white people,
no, they were African American guy people.
I mean, okay, but they're not all like Asian. Like you weren't at like an Asian rehab thing. It was
no, it was like no. There's a lot of white kids, some
sure,
black
all
kids,
different. Oh,
you
so
know.
okay, wow.
You know,
See,
I
that's-
was like,
that's really open.
I'm
That's-
still like, I'm always like the, like weird, like
sure. You're the
Asian-
yeah, you're the pioneer, man. I guess. I'm not-
you know.
but I mean, just sounds like that's pretty like brave and open to your parents to like to be that way and share that way and go for it.
Well, I mean, like it was just.
I mean, they have to do it, I guess. If they wanted to do it, they had to do it. But
Right.
it just sounds kind of, wow.
Yeah.
That's a gnarly visual in a way.
Yeah.
Because your parents are like nice, but they're
They're
Asian, man.
parents.
They're Asian, but I mean
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. But Asian parents, sometimes I feel like it's like a secret. Don't
Oh,
tell
yeah.
anybody.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my son's the best. Look how great he
My
is. and,
parents will. My mom.
Sure.
If my mom knew that I was fucking disclosing all of this shit on the podcast, they would fucking. My mom would like not be okay with this. Because. Like she thinks it's like a family secret kind of thing.
But I mean, for her to go to like you to a rehab and like.
Well, I mean, like
to,
it's
you know,
just
to
like
do a
my
meeting
my
thing, just
father, my
still.
mother, and my sister, like in a
Yeah.
with me in a room and a counselor kind
Still.
of thing. It was pretty like but like yeah,
That's
but like
that's gnarly.
my
That's-
father.
that's got to be harder to do for an Asian parent. For some reason I can't. I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe it's
yeah.
because I don't see it in movies or depicted much.
Right.
That just sounds like that just sounds harder for an Asian parent. Just knowing how like the proudness and how quiet they can be and secretive and all this kind of stuff. I just feel like that is a big step. Like
Yeah.
that's a huge step.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, fucking yeah, it was yeah. I mean, like my father was a social worker for Garfield Medical Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And
So he kind of gets it then.
yeah, he gets
Oh,
it.
okay.
And I can't even imagine like when I was using what he was thinking because
Fuck,
he would like see like 70-year-old junkies fucking like dropped off at the fucking hospital and he'd have to talk to them and like.
Oh wow. So he's a professional.
Yeah, he was licensed and everything like that before, and so it's yeah, it's it's crazy. Like I can't even imagine like what it'd be like. You work in a hospital and then fucking, come back home and see your fucking junkie son killing himself. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, I think we went for quite a while now.
We did.
We
We did.
I hope that like
But this was a journey, really a journey.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of details that I kind of like summarized just because like there's just too many fucking stories to tell. But like,
This one's a pretty big one.
yeah. Well, and like
In general, this is pretty heavy, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks for being honest, though. I mean, this is I don't know if talking about it's good or better for you or whatnot, but I mean, this was as honest as I think I've seen a person. So
Well, I mean, like the way I
Yeah.
kind of look at, drugs and now is that like, if anything I can say can help a person realize and find something relatable who's going through that kind of situation, and can hear, from someone else and can help them realize that like, hey, this guy was able to fucking pull through it,
sure. Yeah.
I would like, maybe it could inspire the confidence in themselves to fucking take the steps they need to, you know, work through their shit too.
Yeah. You just got to do, but the lesson is you got to be the one that does it, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like you could have like all your friends and family, like you see interventions and shit like that, and like that, I don't. It might work for some people, but I don't think it works for most people.
Right. Putting them on the spot. And oh my gosh.
You know, like,
what a bad trip that would be. It's like, oh man.
Well, you know, I mean, like, the point of the intervention is to help them realize that they're not alone.
Yeah. That
people care about them, and they're willing to go out of their way to let them know that, you know, they're cared for. Because like people get stuck in routines. Like even like say, you know, you're a fucking you're you know, you're going through this routine of, you know, a drug habit, and part of that routine is your mom fucking showing up and bringing you food, or your mom fucking like, you know, driving you somewhere to work or something like that. You begin to like not fucking like, you don't really think of this as a fucking loving thing. You know, you just kind of think like, oh, this is part of the routine.
Yeah.
So anyways, well, we're going to be off for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, so I left an extra long one. How long was this one?
2:45.
Longest one.
Booyah. Yeah, it's very long.
You know,
very, very, very good. Time just flew right by. I didn't even notice it. So.
Oh well, thanks, Eric, for letting me share this.
Wow. You know, thank people. Maybe there's people who should thank you. As a matter of fact, not just me, but hopefully so.
Oh, well,
and you know, I don't hear from anybody, so as it is, I do get a little bit of feedback on the podcast here and there.
Yeah,
you know, from people that I know, but hopefully it does help somebody.
Yeah, I hope so. If anything, it's just fucking like, you know, help, you know, set up my fucking biography. So like, you know, there it is. You have a vocal account, account of my life, you know, from me, you know, because I don't know if anyone would ever really want to write about my fucking life, but my sister, you know, would tell, like, who would recount some of my antics to, like, her other Asian acting friends, all want to fucking play my life.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
You know. You know, I imagine that, like, you know, my biopic would be a fucking, you know, especially like those chunks of my life.
Oh, who would be the actor?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. I think it would have to be like someone like you know, I come from a lineage of like big fucking loud Asian guys, you know, like you know,
that'd be an actor.
Bobby Lee's and Eddie Wong's.
Holy smokes.
And the fucking, you know, David Cho types are all just, you know, big and loud.
Big and loud.
And do stupid shit.
Wow. Crazy.
But anyways.
Yeah.
So
this was epic.
Oh, thanks, Eric.
Yeah. Thank you, Luke. And thanks for listening.
We need to work on a sign out sometime.
Yeah, but thanks for listening. That's all I got to say is that if anyone made it this far, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. And let us know what you think.
Please let us know what you think. Gosh, like I said, I hear very little.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that now that I say this at the end of this podcast, most haven't gotten to this far back yet.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're going to hear this and be like, for the first time, maybe like in 3 weeks, they're going to go, yeah, I finally listened to the end of that. And I'll be like, oh, now I get the feedback? I see. You didn't. That's...
Well, we do need some more guests. One of these days
figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm sure that, like, you know, just do it as it comes.
All righty.
Alrighty, guys.
All right.
Peace.
Thank you.